I love it. I love it. I love it when the music stops as soon as the acts stop. It is my favorite. Anyway, hello Estrellitas. Welcome to the stream. I am so excited. Hi Star, how are you, lovely lady? I am doing wonderfully. Thank you so much for asking. I've been busy. I've been really busy. I finished my short film, which is really good. I'm very proud of myself. And I got top marks on it. Not to brag, but hello, Toddy Audi. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Hello, Toddy Audi. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing fantastically. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Do I have anything that I want to talk about before I start stream? Yes, actually. On Sunday. Good evening. Hello, Hero. Is it Hero or Hyro? I'm gonna ask now before I mess it up even further. Laxlands, hello, hope you're doing well and best of luck with your film. Thank you so much. I'm also writing a feature length, which I don't know if I can share too much about that because it is very dark. I'm writing my first feature length film, so hopefully that'll come out well. Hopefully I will do a good job on that. Yeah, it's a passion project mixed with a school assignment, so I keep forgetting that I need to work on it, honestly. But I will work on it over the course of the week probably, so it'll be okay. But speaking of over the course of the week, what I want to say is I will not be streaming next weekend because I will be not in town. I will be in a... Sorry, let me do the kayfabe. Let me try again. You guys did with Hero and Hyro? Both are good? Okay. Cool. But, I will be in another constellation. I have been called for celestial duties and I must attend to them and such. So I will not be streaming next week. Hello, Fish Cake. Welcome to the stream. Let's see. But yes, so no streams probably next week, but it's okay because I will have plenty of content for you. It'll be fine. And then when I get back, I will be able to do a lot of content. So be prepared for that. Oh, okay. Here's something interesting that I'll share before we get started. I'm in a class about interactive design, so basically games and such. Where we make and play games for the class. I'm hearing a different pronunciation every time I attend a stream, so you're good, don't worry. Do you have a preferred pronunciation? I will pronounce it the way you want me to pronounce it. But I'm in a class for game design, essentially. How to create games and interactive pieces. And I wrote a whole monologue pretending to be a friendship wizard of friendship for an escape room that we did, and it was really fun. It was really cool. Unfortunately, we didn't plan it out very well, but it's okay. Oh, there's Hero is the French pronunciation, so it's like the original one, but Hyro sounds very cool. I will call you Hero. If that is what you want. If that is what you so desire. Yeah, I have a friend who has a name, and it can be a bit hard to pronounce. So I'm just like, tell me how to pronounce your name. I will pronounce it for you. I'll pronounce it correctly. So yeah. Whatever is the most comfortable for you, I will call you... I'll flip a coin. It'll depend on my mood. No, I'm kidding. I'll call you Hero, since that's the original pronunciation. Let's see though. Do I have anything else I want to share? Not really. So, okay. I will preface this by saying that this is apparently a spooky, scary kind of thing. Spooks and scares. Okay, so backstory. I was scrolling through Twitter and I found this strange, not advertisement, but I found this strange post on my For You page. Twitter's a cesspool, but sometimes you find some good stuff on there. Sometimes. It's getting worse. But I found something on my For You timeline, and it was by this thing called PENDGOD Creative Library. And it fooled me for a second. I was like, oh, a creative library, that's so cool. Turns out it is a horror ARG, and it has caught my attention and I am very interested in it. So we are going to be going through that tonight. Also, I'm sorry that the stream is so late. I was like, I'm just gonna close my eyes for like a couple minutes, and then 3 hours passed. I woke up exactly 3 hours after I closed my eyes. It was wild. It was crazy. I wasn't even that tired. I think I was just like stressed. I was stressed and I was like, oh, I need to take a nap. I was like, no nap. But it was too late by that point. It was EP time. But yeah, it wasn't about the stream though, so don't worry about it. Let's see. What do we want to do? How do I want to go about this? Let me open up PENDGOD real quick. Oop. PENDGOD. Should I do full screen? No. I should not. Because then you'll all see what I've got, and I don't want that. Alright, I'm going to switch screens. We're going to start the deep dive. I have been in contact with the lovely creator of this ARG too, and they have promised to give me some hints if I need them. Which I may or may not need. You all know me, I'm not afraid to use a walkthrough. So, let's get this party started. Here we go. What? Oh, it's not there. Cool. That's great. Hold on, let me fix that. Opera? Nope. This one. Yes. And let's hope. Okay, that's weird. It is reset transform. Hold on. Oh, it's gonna be weird. Oh, beans. Okay, hold on. What if I deleted Opera, the window capture, and made sure that everything that could reveal my identity is closed. And then nope, that's the wrong one. I open a new window capture. This one. Oh, okay, that worked. I think. We'll find out. We'll find out if I can... Let's see. Oh, you know what? I think... Hold on. I should have tested this beforehand. Actually, you know what? I'm not even gonna say I didn't test it out beforehand, because I did test it out beforehand. And it just doesn't want to work. Which is so silly goofy, you know? Okay. Give me a second. I'm gonna do a full display capture. And you guys have to promise not to be weird about it. Is it this one? Yes. Ah! We're gonna get rid of that little bar at the bottom. And then we're going to put me in front of it. Okay, there you go. There I am. Alright, and that should be good, I think. Let me make sure that I can... Oh. Okay, that's... Hold on, I gotta... You guys get to see the Star Traveler VT Discord, that's fine. You guys can see that as a treat. Go join the Discord. Go join the Discord. I think it's this command. Yeah, there we go. I'm also gonna put on some music because apparently there is a lot of reading, but I will turn off the music when there are videos. Oh, actually, I should ask. Do you guys want music? Because apparently there is a lot of reading. And why is it snapping like that? That's so weird. Oops. Do you guys want music or not? Because there's a lot of reading here. And I don't know if... Okay, it's just gonna be weird like that. Gotcha. Okay. I don't know what's going on with my OBS. I gotta check it out. But anyway. Music. No music. Music would be good. Something jazzy. Yeah, something like kind of old-timey, you know? I could definitely see that. Okay, let's see if I can make sure opera audio is set to the right one. Okay. Give me just a second. I gotta stop the full display capture. It's giving me anxiety. For a second. Just for a second. Don't worry. I'll put it back on. Get out of here. And then YouTube.com. And then old-timey music. No copyright. I want like vintage copyright. No copyright. Sans copyright, everybody. Sans copyright. Public domain songs. 1920s through the 60s. You know what? That one could be good. Hold on. Let me see. What does it sound like? Oh. Alright, that should be good, I think. Alright, let's get this going. I'm gonna actually turn it down a little more because it's a little loud on my end. Okay. Welcome. So this is the PENDGOD Creative Library website. You can find it at pendogcreativelibrary.org. It's an org, so it's an organization. Very cool. Hold on. I wanna pin this real quick as well. All right, in case anybody wants to check it out on their own time, that's the link. They also have a Twitter and a Blue Sky account. So let's get started. Welcome to our library. Welcome to the PENDGOD Creative Library, a digital archive dedicated to the preservation and documentation of creative endeavors. Here on the PCL, you will find cartoons, puppets, dolls, artwork, music, and more. The website strives to educate interested readers about the history behind these artifacts so that their impact and stories may be imparted to the general public. Our website is best viewed on desktop computers. Please be aware that accessing our library on mobile devices may result in minor formatting issues. Good thing I am on a desktop. Consider this website a digital museum. We are split into different wings, pages that can be found through the menu. The Creative Archives, resting place of broadcast and print media. Here you may view magazine covers, animation production material, newspaper articles, cartoon advertisements, and more. This collection is the pride and joy of the PENDGOD Creative Project. Okay, so that's the Creative Archives. Creative history, information regarding involved artists, places, studios, and more. Anything that has had a part in PCL's creative history will be discussed here. You should check out my favorite article on Barbara Macy. I am very proud of that article. Okay, so hold on. I should grab like a piece of paper or something. Or actually... Ow! Thank you, Hank. Actually, no, I shouldn't do that. Hold on. Give me a second. Turning off the thing one more time so I can make a new window. Oh, well? Hello, Hank. Welcome to the Ow! Welcome to the stream. I hope you're having a fantastic night. Alright, let's do this. Oh. Alright, so I've got another window open for Hold on. I got another window open specifically for PENDGOD notes. Okay? We got this. Creative history. Okay. Notable characters, where you can read about characters such as Maisie the Mutt, or learn the history behind obscure mascots like Telelectric. Sail through oceans of information on Puppet Superstar Dorothy Doo, or sweeten up your trivia with Beatrice B.E. The Imaginarium. Have you ever had an imaginary friend? Do you have drawings, old or new, of what they look like to you? Send them over to be eternalized in the Imaginarium, where you can also see other submissions. The update page. Please consider our articles to be living documents. From time to time, they will update as we confirm and revise information. When this happens, you can check the update page to see where info has been added, redacted, or changed. This page is also for updates on the future of the website, monthly activities, and answering questions submitted by you. This page is admittedly more personal and about my experiences with the art I maintain and archive. Oh, shit. Get out of here. Hold on. I should probably put my Discord on, like, do not disturb. There we go. That should be better. The About page. The page also contains information. The About page. Learn about myself and those who have helped me put the site together. This page also contains important information about how we work and what to be aware of while reading or exploring the pages of the archive or of the digital library. Why is reading and exploring in parentheses? That's interesting to me. Come to Thomas's birthday party. Dorothy Doo. Ooh, okay. So I think what we should start with... I think what we should start with is... I kind of want to start with the About page, real quick. Just to see who we're dealing with here. So we got a lot... Oh, we got a lot of people. Okay. My name is Penny M, she, her, founder and web dev of the PENDGOD Creative Library. Ever since I was young, I have always had a close connection with cartoons, puppets, anything creative themed. I come from an artistic family, so it was only natural that my relationship with those mediums would be so intense. My deepest wish is as an artist is for people to be more aware of the characters that inspired me growing up, and for the public to know the history behind these icons. For this reason, I set out to create a digital archive dedicated to the preservation and documentation of creative history. I like that. I like that a lot. Meet the team. Red with the red writhing gloves. She, her. RG is a digital artist and illustrator with over 7 years of experience. Dedicated cartoonist. RG is responsible for a great deal of the assets and decoration found within the website. RG is an avid fan of Maisie the Mutt, and as such, they hope to help the general public gain a better appreciation of the character roots. Vincent T, he, him. Vincent T is a professional writer with a background in cataloging and inventory. His skills are invaluable to the work we do here at the PCL, and is responsible for conducting interviews and research regarding the artifacts and cartoons hosted on our site. Bellup, he, they. Belly Up is an illustrator with 9 years of experience. Having worked together during our time at art school, I was thrilled to work with him on the Imaginarium page. Belly Up is currently working on an illustrated storybook. That is very cool. Ick-ack. Yo, puppets! Anyway. Oh, wait! Have I seen those before? These specific dolls. I think I've seen them before, but I don't know for sure. Anyway. Ick-ack. He, him. Ick-ack was an associate responsible for many of the recorded screenshots and animations found on the site. Through collaboration with his group, The Found Finder? Yeah. Hold on, let me make this. Oh, I can't make it bigger. Okay. We have been able to recover many cartoons and illustrations once thought completely lost. And Emma Weckl. Emma is a puppet historian, maker, and good friend of the website. Through her work, we have been able to recover puppet mascots Seymour and Strawberry, as well as regularly get in touch with prominent puppet makers to ask questions. Her work has been invaluable to the website, and she's a very good friend of mine. Are you affiliated with any of the franchise brands we cover? No, we're not. This whole archive is purely a passion project dedicated to preserving the history of creative ventures and allowing that information to be freely accessible. We are in no way affiliated with any of the companies, studios, IPs, or artists documented on the site. How do you find the items you document? It's quite a process. For some characters, such as Maisie the Mud, it's not hard at all to find merchandise/media to document because of her popularity and worldwide success. But for the more obscure ventures we document here, it takes lots of time and patience to find things. Our team spends hours upon hours looking through old catalogs, books, newspapers, tapes, web postings, and more, searching for anything related to the characters and brands we cover here. Secondhand shops, reselling websites, museums, libraries are all places to visit frequently in case you get lucky. We sometimes contact people directly involved with the studio/companies, or private collectors, to see if they'd be willing to talk with us about what they know. We've also had people reach out to us on their own, which is very exciting. It's mostly a game of keeping your eyes peeled for any glimpses of Maisie's magic hat or Electrica's signature red and Bartleby's honeycomb logo. How long has this site been around? This website started out as a personal portfolio/blog on which I documented my artwork and talked about things going on in my life. When the time arrived to make the PCL, I decided I, 1, didn't really want those old blogs and artwork around anymore due to personal reasons I'm not comfortable disclosing. I'll post my old art from time to time on the update pages. 2, didn't want to pay extra money for a new website. Very valid. Websites are expensive. Well, actually, I don't know how expensive. I mean, card.co, but like, that's different. Make your own website. I'm learning web design right now, so I need to figure out how to host my own websites outside of the school's website stuff. Anyway, so with Reason 1 combined with Reason 2, I scrapped pretty much everything from the site and overhauled it. Question. I have something that would fit into your archive. How can I share it with you? If you're in possession of an item relating to anything documented in the PENDGOD library, whether it be an advertisement, illustration, toy, tape, etc., we would be more than happy to add it to our collection. Please contact me, Penny M, with any information pertaining to the item in question. Information such as, what is it? How, where did you acquire it? What significance does this item hold for you? Please include pictures as well for authenticity. Thank you. Alright. These people seem cool and normal, and hopefully nothing bad happens to them. Let's see. I kind of want to check out... Let's see the character index first, just to see who we're dealing with. Whoa! Oh, I love this art though. This art is really cool. Ooh, who is she? Pretty lady. Welcome to the character index. Learn about historically famous characters such as beloved Maisie the Mud, or delve into the obscure history of Miss Hecate. Hecate? How do you pronounce that? Hecate? The world's most mysterious and hard to document cartoon. These pages are made to honor the characters that breathe life into our work and make it worthwhile. Everyone remembers Maisie the Mud. However, characters like Tully Electric and Hecate are very unknown in our modern era. Hopefully this website will change that, and this page will help to introduce them to you and you as new friends. So we got Maisie the Mutt, Dorothy Dew, who is also very cute, Beatrice B, Tully Electric, Millie Moonbeam, Wistful Witty, Lancer, Slishy Slasher, Seymour and Strawberry, Minerva Woeful, and back to Maisie the Mutt. I say we go in order. I see nothing wrong with this. Ooh. Oh, it's little skeleton guy. Oh, hold on. Let's stop the music real quick because we've got clips. We got audio. Okay, let's see. The Miracle Hound, the marvelous mutt, Maisie M. Mutt, is perhaps the most famous character archived on our database. A storied character with a love for the creepy, the ghostly, and the ghoulish. Her stories have ranged from playful follies to slapstick nightmares. Making her debut in the 30s, Maisie was a quick hit with audiences and soon would blaze a trail of success for her studio, Liquid Laugh Pictures. She has appeared in multiple cartoon spin-offs, series, movies, and has, of course, launched the creation of Maisieland Theme Park. Seems very Disney-esque from what I'm gathering. So, Maisie made her first appearance in the episode Dizzy Divots as a background character. Head artist and co-studio founder Ivan Hoff liked her design. Okay, we can go access that page in a little bit. Liked her design so much that he reused her design again in Maybelle Braybells as a co-protagonist to the studio's regular star Hobble the Hound. Hound. However, as time went on, Maisie would overshadow Hobble and become the central face of Liquid Laugh Pictures. Abandoned in a graveyard, adopted by a living haunted house, raised by hundreds of ghosts, Maisie the Mutt is probably the most morbid cartoon character hosted on this website. I don't know about that. I saw those images before. You can't hide those from me. Maisie, although such elements were not uncommon in older cartoons. Despite being so grim, Maisie's fictional backstory was definitely more fleshed out than other well-known characters like Webby Webster, Mr. Leeds, or even Hobble the Hound. Maisie's association with the supernatural has always been strong, even playing a gravedigger in her original background appearance. While most characters of the time were running away from monsters and being menaced by trumpet-playing ghosts, Maisie could often be found tagging along for the ride and being great pals with similarly ghoulish characters. Maisie's a bit of an anomaly in how her early cartoons portrayed her, since interchangeable roles were not uncommon in early cartoons. However, Maisie would just as often play the villain as she would the hero during her original run, most famously in the first episode with her as the protagonist, Red Riding Gloves. Oh, that's where the name comes from, Red Riding Gloves. Maisie played a devil-like figure selling a down-on-their-luck musician her pair of magic gloves for a terrible price. In another episode, White Whittling Shears, Maisie the Mutt would menace a local farmer by shearing his sheep until being caught and banished to the dark forest. Throughout her run, however, Maisie has ultimately been a force for good, antagonizing the haughty and mighty of her cartoon world, while being a sympathizer to any creep, goblin, or otherwise outcast creature. Over time, the association that Maisie the Mutt had with rituals, the occult, and the forces of the underworld would be phased out by her owners, instead being replaced with the element of her magic hat, providing her powers. Indeed, Maisie's image has changed significantly over the years, not only in visual design, but in surroundings and tone as well. But throughout it all, Maisie has retained the same traits: free-spiritedness, gravitation towards outsiders, and being prone to making situations worse. Although an immensely popular character, the details of Maisie the Mutt's history are difficult to parse. As a character with so much fame, she has equally so many varying accounts from individuals and organizations. We are dedicated to helping you understand the true Maisie, the Maisie of all sides and angles. Illustration from Maisie and the Lonely Ghost picture book. Okay. I'm loving this art, though. This art is really cute. Let's see.
Well, ain't that a coinky doink?
Coinky
The
doink.
Miracle Mutt at your service.
Okay, so that's what she sounds like. And here's her theme. It's got that silly element to it. Let me turn it down. It's kind of got that quirky, what's it? Huh. Hold on, let me go back a little bit. Oh, can I go back to around here? Hold on. There's crackling. I just don't know if that's going to be relevant later, but we'll find out. We'll find out if the crackling is relevant later. Let me put this jazz back on. Or whatever's going to kill Ken. That's the name of the next song. All right. So we've got one character down, many more to go. Let's do this. Dorothy Doo. America's favorite sailor. Dorothy Doo is a very interesting character who got his start in award-winning literature, ascending to puppet star. Oh, Dorothy Doo's a guy. Okay, got it. Then featured in a landmark animated feature. Of all our characters, besides perhaps Maisie the Mutt, he has gone the furthest across mediums. Created by Barbara Massey as the protagonist of her series of novels, The Deep Blue. Hold on, wait, actually, let me go back. We did not go to... Ooh, Ivanhoe, okay. We didn't go to Ivanhoe yet. There's a lot here. Okay, let's get started. Cartoonist, illustrator, animator, and businessman, Ivan Hoth is one of the most well-known individuals in the history of animation. Born into a family of doctors, Ivan began his artistic career from a young age by drawing his brother's pets, a spider and a goat. He would regularly read the news... Why is regularly such a hard word for me? He would regularly read the newspaper his father turned over to him, poring over the comic strips inside and taking inspirations from them in the artwork. It was during those days, according to Ivan, that his desire to be a cartoonist began. However, his father had different plans for young Ivan and pushed him to pursue the family practice. Ivan was sent off to medical school in hopes that he would dissuade his son from the life of an artist, unquote. His father's wishes were granted for a short while, with Ivan attending medical school for 2 years. However, Ivan was self-admittedly a poor student and a persistent troublemaker for the staff of the institution. He would regularly draw during class and struggle to focus on lessons, often getting distracted and failing to understand the teacher's instructions. At the conclusion of his second year, Ivan dropped out of medical school and took on a variety of work wherever he could. Ah, this is the kind of music I was looking for. Wherever he could, all the while continuing to draw in his free time. During this period, Ivan would submit multiple comic strips to the papers. Although young and having no prior experience, the quality of his work impressed the head of the Kelbridge Chronicle. In the early days of Ivan Hoth's employment, he shadowed prominent artist Louis Pardane, a well-regarded cartoonist. The two would quickly become friends, and in their third year of acquaintance, become roommates, sharing an apartment from which they created their own independent comics in secret. And they were roommates, huh? The two's friendship could not be overstated. As an incredibly private and introverted individual, Ivan was incredibly shy and struggled to communicate with others, typically preferring to hunker down in his office space to draw his days away. It was Louis's kindness and mentorship that drew him out of his shell, and the two would hold very long and arousing conversations about the arts and their futures. Most of what we can learn today about Ivan's life is the result of Louis's recollections. From Louis, we can learn things such as Ivan's fascination with the morbid and macabre, which is something that has gone unmentioned in official Liquid Laugh books. He had an intense love for ghost stories, tall tales, and folklore, things which influenced his comics and the early cartoons he eventually produced at Liquid Laugh. While working at Kelbridge Chronicle, Ivan began experimenting with animation. As someone who had never known of animation until moving to the city, he found himself immediately swept up with the possibilities of cartoon motion. It was through his partnership with Louis Pardane that Liquid Laugh Pictures would eventually be founded, with both friends leaving behind Kelbridge Chronicle and pulling together with friends met along their artistic careers to make their dream a reality. Liquid Laugh struggled during the early days of its life. As a fledgling animation studio, it had to compete against other more established studios at the time. Their earliest character, Hobble the Hound, was not a particularly popular character, and the works of their studios were only shown in a few small theaters that did not bring in enough revenue for the studio to sustain itself. Ivan and Louis would regularly work late into the night, long after everyone else had left, brainstorming ideas to keep the company afloat and desperately trying to create something that would propel their studio out of its precarious situation. In interviews, Ivan stated these years to be the most exciting yet horrific years of his life, his nights sleepless with the stress of his dream crumbling before it even got off the ground. The recollection has been confirmed by accounts with former workers, stating that during the early days of the studio, they would often witness Ivan descending into an almost manic state, pacing, tearing at his hair, and teetering on the edge of collapsing in the studio from sheer exhaustion. Louis would confide privately in others his worries that the two of them had gotten in over their heads. The future of everyone involved in the studio was uncertain. The clock was ticking, and Hobble the Hound cartoons were being released in declining quality. Luckily, this would all change when Ivan Hoth created Maisie, the Marvelous Mutt. And here's some early sketches of Maisie, who is extremely cute. This mutt, originally designed as a minor character, was extremely popular with audiences. She sprung the studio into stardom, and Ivan would eventually throw away Hobble the Hound entirely in favor of Maisie. Why is that? Okay. Ivan would work on every single production of Liquid Laugh, sometimes as a storyboard artist and sometimes helping to paint cells. He liked to be outside his office whenever possible, preferring to be amongst his workers and contributing what he could to their productions. The studio would produce several more animated features from the building he and Lewis had rented. But as more and more people were brought aboard, it became clear to both founders that the studio would need to be relocated in order to accommodate for increased workforce. The two chose Chicago, Illinois, as the new home of Liquid Laugh, and Ivan would cut the ribbon to his new studio to much fanfare. It was a golden new era for Liquid Laugh Pictures. Unbeknownst to the public, however, a dark cloud shadowed over this era in the form of Ivan's health declining from undisclosed causes. He hid this from his employees, and it would not become public knowledge until his death. Despite his ever-increasing fame, Ivan remained a very reserved and private individual. Lewis would typically handle speaking to the press in Ivan's place. It made Ivan an oddity among other studio heads, and he was noted as never showing any interest in starting a family or marrying. Most of his free time would be spent with Lewis Pardane, with the two going fishing during the warmer seasons and snowshoeing and skating during the winter. I know what you are. I know what you are. Although his studio would eventually stray away from spooky-natured cartoons, Ivan continued to show his love of the macabre in other ways, such as using much of his personal income to discreetly fund horror movies and smaller science fiction projects, something which was not known until after his death. Ivan refused to be credited in these productions. He simply seemed to love the horror genre and decided to give back to it in any way he could. In the last year of his life, Ivan would withdraw further from public view, only being visited by Lewis and longtime co-workers. It is still not known what afflicted Ivan and likely will never be known. Ivan would pass away at his residence with Lewis at his side. Behind the scenes of one of the many projects secretly funded by Ivan. This guy seems awesome. This guy seems genuinely cool. I like him. Alright, now we can go on to Dorothy Doo. Created by Barbara Massey as the protagonist of her series of novels, The Deep Blue, Dorothy began life as a sailor in a world completely submerged by water. Ooh. While traveling to different islands, he would explore the wonders and treachery of land and sea. Always on the move, never returning to the same location twice. These stories would hop from place to place and delighted both the adults and children of America with their tales of danger and fantasy. In these novels, Dorothy Doo was characterized by restlessness and a desire to do good in the world, hence his original full name, Dorothy Dogood. He was also notable for his calmness in terrifying, hopeless situations and taking the ship under control, so to speak. The Dorothy Doo book series would run for several novels before Barbara was approached with the proposition of adapting Dorothy Doo's adventure into a televised series. Although proposed to be an animated TV show, Barbara Massey had different ideas, as well as an unusual amount of control over the project. After contacting friends working at Silverstein Puppetry Theater, she gathered together what would be known as the Deep Blue Team. Why is this? Oh, hold on, we got a video. Deep Blue Team. Ah, shh. You don't need to know about that, YouTube. Don't worry, it's fine. We got our first video, guys. Echo Broadcasting Archives. YouTube gets so mad about ad blockers nowadays, and I get ads for ad blockers. It is insane. Just use AdBlock Plus, everybody. Oh. Qua? Oh. suddenly uncomfortable. Hmm. Interesting. Oh. Water. Lots of it. Oh, that's a lot of water. That is a lot of lines. To the point where it's hard to make out that it's even water at this point. What is that? Dorothy Dew in the deep blue? Interesting. No description has been added. Congrats, you made it. Keep going. It's fun. Let's see. Let's keep going. Can I add this to my liked videos though? That was cool. Actually, before we go on, there's two videos on here. Oh, this is just streams. Okay. I will not be watching the streams because I want to go into this as blind as possible. So. See, I'm telling you, I get like ads for ad blockers. That's insane. Don't do that. Don't make ads for ad blockers. Okay, sorry. Rant over. We're good. Dorothy Dew in the Deep Blue premiered on television in the late 1950s. And just like the books, was an intensely popular show with the children and families. Each episode would begin with a foreword by Barbara Massey, who would appear again at the end to discuss the episode's events with Dorothy Dew. The puppet for Dorothy was a marvel of puppet crafting, puppeteering, and voice acting. It was commissioned and built over the course of 3 long months, and Dorothy immediately charmed all who saw his face. The show ran for 7 seasons. That's a lot of seasons for a kids cartoon. During which Dorothy would continue his pattern of visiting different places, meeting new people, and fighting various foes. The show was so popular that the Dorothy Dew fan club and newsletter was created around season 3, through which excited fans could send letters to Dorothy and get monthly newsletters, gadgets, and more. The popularity of the show convinced Barbara... Why did I say Dorothy? Oh, I say Dorothy. The popularity of the show convinced Barbara to release an additional, smaller series of books, each about one of the recurring Dorothy Dew characters. The entire series could be said to be the staple of any American childhood of the time due to its all-encompassing scope and popularity. There was even a short run of Dorothy Dew comics that ran for about 30 issues. After season 6, the animation studio Copperbell Productions approached Barbara with proposals to create an animated movie about Dorothy Dew and his adventures through a brand new ocean. After many years of production, the Dorothy Dew movie would be released to the public and was so well received and successful that it was nominated for an Annie Award. Hell yeah! Dorothy would make 2 more animated appearances in a Halloween special and New Year's celebration special. At the beginning of season 7, Barbara Massey announced the end of the Dorothy Dew show. After many years of working with Dorothy, she felt she had told all the stories she had to tell with the character and laid him to rest before retiring. Despite this, Dorothy has remained an icon of cartoon and puppet history to this day, with several well-regarded fan clubs springing up to replace the original Dorothy Dew fan club. Oh, wait, hold on. Pause the music. First, we're going to listen to that in a second. First, we're going to listen to the Dorothy Dew fan voice clip.
I am Dorothy Dew.
I like his voice.
Sailor. Remember, kids, sleep 8 hours at sea and keep one eye open. Feel like everyone's lost at sea. No lighthouse to be seen, and it's all everyone is sinking.
Interesting. Also, hello, Bongo Billy. Welcome to the stream. We are exploring the PENDGOD Creative Library, which you can visit on your own time if you so choose, using the link that I've pinned. It is an ARG about weird cartoons, and I am completely digging it so far. I am very interested. We have this weird thing down here called Can You Hear Me? But I can't click it. Is it? I can't. Interesting. Mayhaps I have to do something to unlock it. Anyway. Let me see. If I go back in. I like Dorothy Doo though. Dorothy Doo seems pretty interesting. Try using the tab. Oh, you're right. Try using the tab key. Okay, hold on. Or Massey.
Can you
there we go.
hear me?
Ooh. I can hear you now. I had to use the tab key. Thank you, Sushi Cats, for the tip. I did not consider the tab key as an option. Hold on, one more time.
Can you hear me?
It's also interesting to me that he says that it feels like everybody's sinking. Like, why would he say that? Hold on, I want to hear.
No lighthouse. I feel like everyone's lost at sea. And the kids sleep 8 hours at sea and keep one eye open. I feel like everyone's lost at sea. No lighthouse to be seen, and it's all. Everyone is sinking.
Very interesting. He feels like everybody's sinking, which, what does he mean by that? Let's take a look at Barbara Massey, though. Ooh, pretty. And she's got cats! Yo! Okay. Automatically on my favorites list. Let me make sure that the music isn't too loud before we continue.
Tried the double Sonic Smasher, not a half price drink in the app.
No! I don't want a burger. No, I don't want. Oh. I decidedly do not want. Oh, this is even worse than the burger one. Let me turn this down. I gotta head out, but this was a very fun stream. Thank you for stopping by, Toddy Oddie. I hope you have a great rest of your night. And don't worry, the VOD will be available on YouTube, so you can stop by and watch that if you decide to. But thank you so much for joining. Have a great rest of your night or day, depending on your time zone. One of the most prolific writers and artists in American history, Barbara Massey is famous for her book series The Deep Blue, along with the TV show Dorothy Doo and the Deep Blue, and the Dorothy Doo movie. Barbara has always loved writing ever since childhood. As a young girl, she'd write short stories to entertain her family and friends. She would only take writing seriously as a pursuit after reading the works of R.W. Winfield, prolific author of the Meadow Valley series. We'll keep that open. And being awestruck by his stories of peril and actually, hold on, I'm gonna close that tab. We'll go there in a second. Prolific author of the Meadow Valley series, and being awestruck by his stories of peril and fantasy filled with fantastical critters. For much of her early years, Barbara would pore over the works of Winfield and listed him as the inspiration for her foray into fantasy literature. However, later in her life would disavow him. Ooh, huh. Much of the early literature created by Barbara is unavailable to the public. However, she has gone on record stating that she began her writing career by writing stories for a variety of beauty magazines underneath a pen name. It was here that Barbara honed her skills and learned what it took to hook a reader for a story. She described the work she did during this time as being mostly fantasy fiction, which audiences seemed to enjoy as she kept getting work. Eventually, Barbara got bored of writing what she described as, quote, very similar stories with the same beats and characters, unquote. She had never forgotten her childhood readings of Winfield's work and desired to write a novel of her own that paid homage to the types of stories written by Winfield. At this point in time, Barbara was also a very well-traveled woman, and it was during these travels that she had formed a special fixation on the seas, sailors, and tales of ocean-farers. These two influences meshed together to inspire her idea for the Deep Blue. Barbara would travel frequently while riding the Deep Blue, often taking the train. It was during her excursions into the city that she would begin a friendship with Patty Greenbale and Matthew Pollock, a pair of puppeteers that would become very critical figures later on in Barbara's life. Barbara would write home frequently to her family during this time, and when she was home, she would write to the people she met during her travels. In the early 50s, Barbara would release the first of many novels in the Deep Blue series with the help of publishing company Inksel House, who saw potential in her work. It had a small, limited run, but very quickly sold out. Before long, the book was being sold all across the United States, with demands for a sequel from both publishers and audiences. A demand that Barbara very happily complied with. There would be several more books in the series before Barbara was approached by Echo Broadcasting with the proposal of adapting her series for television. The deal they arranged with her was very unusual in the amount of creative control it gave her. The show was at first proposed to be an animated series, though Barbara pushed back against the idea. Instead, she contacted her friends Patty Greenbale and Matthew Pollock, now lead puppeteers at the puppet company Silverstein Stitching. With them, she spoke to head of the company Boris Hassler, and a deal was struck to put together a team that would eventually become known as the Deep Blue Team. Ooh, so puppets. Oh, that's cool. Patty Greenbale, Matthew Pollock, Boris Hassler. Okay. The Deep Blue Team quickly began production for Dorothy Dew and the Deep Blue. Oh, hydrate. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ah, that's better. Thank you for the hydrate, hero. A puppet show that would go on to rock the world. From the beginning, Barbara had a concrete idea of how she wanted the TV show to be executed. A series of loosely connected stories revolving around Dorothy's adventures to the Deep Blue Sea. With the help of expert puppeteers, experienced musicians, amazing artists, and charismatic actors, the show began its first season at the tail end of the 50s. Barbara helped to assist in puppeteering and some voice work for the show. Agua. El agua. But mainly I sat at the helm of writing for the story. She was very strict with the rule that she was the only one allowed to write dialogue for Dorothy. It should be noted that this is common with creators. Barbara had a very intense connection with Dorothy Dew, and this was reflected in the show as Dorothy having a fireside chat with Barbara at the end of each episode. The pair would discuss what Dorothy, and by extension the audience, had learned with her. Over time, Barbara did gain a talent for puppeteering and would occasionally assist in the operation of the Dorothy puppet. Barbara was a notably interesting person to work with, as attested by multiple accounts from over the years. She had a habit of getting what she wanted through cleverness and stubbornness in equal measure. She had no time for pencil pushers or corporate meddling. When she had an issue with the people upstairs, she would march up to their office and return soon after with nothing to say on the matter except, "We came to an agreement." Regardless, Barbara was a very warm and comforting personality to be around, according to friends, and someone who always took the wheel of the ship and knew where to steer it. An enthusiastic creator who would make time to speak to anybody who wanted to talk about art. The Dorothy Dew Show would go on for 3 more seasons before having to go on a brief hiatus. In the early 60s, Barbara got embroiled in a public controversy with accusations being made towards her of being a communist. Notably, this occurred during the tail end of the Red Scare Woods. This lead. Ooh, we got a whole page on the Red Scare? Holy shit. I'm gonna close this for now. Oops, lost my place. Hold on. An event that permanently affected the livelihoods of several artists and individuals. Barbara had been very publicly outspoken against the blacklisting of creatives, as such found herself in the crossfire. Despite both the personal and professional dangers such beliefs put her in, she stood her ground all the way to the end of the craze, at which point she was offered an apology from the soon-to-be disbanded committee. It was an apology Barbara did not publicly accept, going so far as to mock it on television. The Dorothy Dew Show would continue to air soon after, with future seasons being ordered by the network. In the meantime, Barbara had begun to write short stories inspired by the show. These stories focused on the places and characters puppet Dorothy had met. and were meant to enhance the audience's appreciation of Dorothy's world. She also established the Dorothy Do Fan Club, fan letter program, along with going before Congress with Dorothy to advocate for improved education. This woman rocks. I like her. After season 6 of the show, Barbara would be approached by Copperbelt Productions with the offer of an animated Dorothy Do movie. Historically, this was a highly well-regarded movie, and the production would take its own page to describe. Barbara was recorded as having enjoyed the film, yet also stated that it had been a very draining experience for her. Perhaps that is why she decided that season 7 of the Dorothy Do show would be the end of the saga. After concluding the Dorothy Do show, Barbara would move to North Carolina to be close to the beach of her childhood. She kept in regular touch with friends, family, and other creatives, but notably lessened her communication with fans over the course of her retirement. Years later, Barbara would pass away peacefully, surrounded by family in her home. Let's see. I like these cats. I like this picture a lot, mostly because of the cats, but also she just looks so happy. She looks really cool. I like her. Let's see. What is this one? Actually I want to do the Red Scare first, because I think the Red Scare will be a bit shorter. Let's see. An event that took place from 1947 to 1964. This is actual real history, guys. During this period, a fear of communist infiltration into American culture took grip of the population. Spurred on by Senator Maxwell Byers, the movement claimed that Soviets were, quote, disseminating communist propaganda, unquote, through movies, literature, television, and music in order to brainwash the American populace. If an artist... Oh, hold on, let me snooze the ads real quick. Ads can come back later. If an artist, actor, author, or individual was accused of being a communist / spy sympathizer, or a communist spy / sympathizer, etc., it would be blacklisted from working in the industry and put under investigation. Notably, during this time, labor negotiations would break down quickly, especially in the animation industry, where those unhappy with the treatment they received were expected to stay silent to find themselves blacklisted. This event would die down in the mid-60s after Maxwell Byers accused several military personnel of communist ties and lost its credibility. Regardless, the damage had been done, and it would take the industry and artists affected years to recover. Unfortunately, many artists would be ruined forever by the events of the Red Scare. Yeah, the Red Scare was not good. Although, I don't know. I think they might have changed it a little bit for this, but I'm not sure. I'm not a historian, so. R.W. Winfield. Let's see. Okay, short. R.W. Winfield is most well known for his book Hearth of Meadow Valley and its following series of sequel novels. Newspaper artist, illustrator, author, Winfield was a man of many talents and was possessed by restlessness to explore new mediums. Born into a fairly wealthy family from a young age, Winfield had always been fascinated with the arts. However, due to his lineage, such pursuits were actively discouraged by his parents, who wished for the young Winfield to follow in his father's footsteps. But the medical field was, in Winfield's words, a, quote, stifling profession, unquote. So at the time of his 18th birthday, Winfield ran away from home to elope with Irene Amber, a much older woman from a rivaling family. It would only be many years later, when his father was on his deathbed, that Winfield returned home to reconcile with the family left behind. Amber and Winfield's marriage started off amicably, and for some time the two were happy in one another's presence. However, in the third year of their arrangement, the two would get into terrible bouts, and the following October the two would divorce, leaving Winfield on his own. During that time, Winfield worked as a hot presser while attempting to hone his artistry skills with several rejected submissions to the paper companies in his area. Winfield, a stubborn and unyielding man, continued to improve upon his craft for the next several years before finally being offered a job by a sympathetic friend. His friend, Mitch Breyer, head of the Lewender Tribune, hired Winfield to illustrate short stories in the paper. For a time, Winfield, though a very morose-appearing man, was happy with his work at the Lewender. His work was fairly well received by audiences, especially his illustrations that accompanied the short fantasy stories of the paper. His work was characterized by astonishingly detailed creatures and landscapes with an amazing use of hatching and inkwork. Hatching is difficult. I've tried hatching. It's not easy. The arrangement between Mitch and Winfield was amicable for a time. However, the cracks of their friendship would start to show when Winfield began to pursue other avenues of creative expression by making his own cartoons and attractions on the side. Mitch claimed that he was in violation of his agreement with Lewender Tribune and a conflict of interest. In fear of losing his job, Winfield reluctantly dropped his external ventures, an event that caused Winfield to forever hold a grudge against Mitch. Tensions would come to a head when payments for Winfield's work at the Lewender began to come in later and later, with his last payment from the company being several months late. Holy shit. That was the final straw, causing Winfield to sever his relationship with Mitch Breyer and Lewender Tribune. Despite being barred from external ventures while working at the Lewender, Winfield had been privately working on several concepts. Inspired by the stories he had illustrated during his career, Winfield had written the prototype for a novel called The Hearth of Meadowville Valley. The story detailed the adventures of Millie Moonbeam, a small lightning bug in a fantastical world. After several revisions and much fighting, Winfield managed to secure the assurance of Norwool Publishing in the distribution of his novel. Ad is about to start in like half a minute, so I'm going to let the ad play out, and then we're going to come back in about 3 minutes. So I want to take a quick break I gotta turn that off. I want to take a quick break to get a snack, okay? And then we'll be back in about 3 minutes. So, BRB, everybody. Teehee. Alright. We're back. I had a little snack. It was very yummy. Adobe, I do not care. I think I'm gonna switch back over to the original OBS opera thing. Let's see. Where's opera? Where is opera? I must have gotten rid of it. There we go. Okay. Yep, that should be good. Okay. Let's get back into it. Okay, so we know Millie Moonbeam now. But we're gonna learn more about her in a little bit. The novel was a hit with audiences, with Winfield receiving immense royalties and praise for his work. For a year, Winfield received letters from children expressing their wonderment at the adventures of Millie Moonbeam, as well as a desire for a sequel. In spite of their pleas, Winfield was fairly steadfast in his desire to move on to other projects. Winfield's mind would be changed upon receiving a letter from a little girl that rather bluntly implied him to be a one-hit wonder, incapable of a commitment. Holy shit! Charmed by her letter, Winfield began writing the sequel to his award-winning novel, and the following year released it to an ear audience. Spurred on by the success of the sequel, and because it was putting food on the table, Winfield would go on to release more books, most being small collections of stories from the world of Meadow Valley. Near the later years of his life, Winfield would enter communications with a company called Circe Wheel Production. They had approached him with the offer of adapting Hearth of Meadow Valley into a live-action movie. Ever since his childhood, Winfield had been fascinated by moving pictures, his greatest dream being to have his work shown on the silver screen. With his fame and excitement clouding his judgment, Winfield signed on board and thus began the long and painful production that was perhaps doomed from the start. The movie was by all accounts a nightmare to work on. The conditions were notably horrible, with several actors and actresses passing out on the set due to the stress. Holy shit. Several props caught on fire. One of the actors was poisoned by aluminum dust, and multiple writers quit mid-production. Throughout it all, Winfield reported feeling helpless against the inadequacy and ignorance of Circe Wheel, and feeling a sense of doom towards the chances of the film ever completing production. These fans were proven correct when, after several years of toiling, Circe Wheel went bankrupt and production ceased. Defeated, bitter, and tired, Winfield was then approached by animation studio Liquid Laugh Pictures. The company offered him the chance to make an animated short film featuring Millie Moonbeam. In his desperation to see his work on the big screen, Winfield signed on board without realizing that by doing so... Oh, this is my worst fear. Without realizing that by doing so, he was giving up ownership of Millie to Liquid Laugh. That's my worst fear, to sign a deal and then realize that my characters are no longer my characters. That would suck. The details of Millie's ownership would not be made explicit to Winfield until after the production and release of the film, a film he had been invited to watch the opening showing of. This was an event that drove Winfield to the darkest place of his life, and soon after, Winfield was documented to have made an attempt on his own life. He would retire to his old countryside home and release one more book, featuring his other popular character, Wistful Winnie. This book, however, was not well received due to its dark nature, and today it's fairly unknown compared to his body of work. In the final years of his life, Winfield would pour his money into the construction of a library dedicated to the preservation of literature. It took a year and a half to complete and was named the Winfield Library. A month after its completion, Winfield would be found dead in the library, the cause of his death being undetermined. Oh, poor guy. I wonder why he was disavowed by Barbara Massey, though. That's my question. I figure we could find out more about Millie Moonlight and Wistful Winnie on here, though. Yeah, here we go. So we'll go over to them in a little bit. Beatrice B. Actually, no, let's do Millie Moonlight and Millie Moonbeam. Millie Moonbeam now. Oh, she's cute though. The wonder child of prolific American cartoonist and author R.W. Winfield, Millie Moonbeam is most famous for her adventures and perils of as the protagonist of Winfield's 1920s book, Hearth of Meadow Valley. In the book, Millie, a small firefly. Howdy, Silver Nightingale. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're having a great night. We are exploring the world of PENDGOD Creative Library, so feel free to stick around. Right now we're just doing a lot of reading, but it's all very interesting. Like, I am enjoying it. There's no audio on this page though, which is a bit sad, but oh, I wonder if there's anything secret. Wait, what? Oh, okay. Oh, no, get out of there. Get out of there. Okay, nothing on this page. I can't read. Very fair. Hold on. As a writer, I have to be able to read lots, so it works for me. Let's see. In the book, Millie, a small firefly, falls out of her garden one morning and into the fields of Meadow Valley, an all-encompassing world of green flowers and vines. Filled with bugs, pixies, and fearsome critters, she must find the dying hearth of Meadow Valley and reignite it with her light. In these books, Millie was characterized as a sympathetic but fairly clueless individual. This served as a way to introduce audiences to her world as she encountered new people and places. It had them explained to her. Millie had a propensity for fire, as she was the only character in the world that could wield it. Although eager to share her gift with others, sometimes she got carried away, especially around her more wooden friends. The story was a great hit with audiences, and Winfield would go on to write further stories featuring Millie Moonbeam, but she would go on to be slightly overshadowed by Winfield's other character, Wistful Winnie, who we'll read about next. Regardless, Millie was a very important character in Winfield's life, as he had no children or surviving family to speak of. When interviewed following the release of his third novel, he was noted as saying, quote, "Millie, in all her wonder and luminous charm, is my only daughter." Aww. This relationship is evident through the sheer amount of work Winfield drew of Millie in his free. Oh, that makes it so much worse. Okay, Silver Nightingale, for you who came in a little late. This guy signed a deal. Winfield signed a deal to make a movie, but he didn't realize that in signing that deal, he was giving away the rights to the character of Millie Moonbeam. Oh well. He didn't realize he was giving away the rights to Millie Moonbeam, so he completely lost the rights to her, and that this whole thing just makes it so much worse. I feel so bad for him. Oh, it explains it here. This relationship is evidence blah, 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 much of it unpublished and only discovered following his death. Among these were not only illustrations, but small comic strips reminiscent of his early days working in newspaper comics. Sadly, Winfield's relationship with Millie would come to an end when, following a failed attempt at a live-action Meadow Valley movie, he was approached by Liquid Laugh Pictures with an offer to adapt Millie Moonbeam into a short cartoon. Winfield had wanted his entire life to see his work in movies, for he was noted several times as saying if he could get Millie in a movie, he could die a happy man. In his desperation to get Millie on the big screen, he was not careful in reading the agreement he signed into. As a result, he lost the rights to Millie Moonbeam, something he did not realize until the end of production, after he had attended the opening show of her cartoon. Ugh, the worst. I don't like Liquid Laugh Productions anymore. Ivan Hoth, I'm watching you, even though you're dead, technically. It was an event that Winfield never recovered from, and can be read about on his biography page. After the changing of hands, Millie featured in one more cartoon short before being put on the shelf for years, only in recent times being integrated into the lore of Maisie the Mutt's world by the modern Liquid Laugh Studios. Let me see. Wistful Winnie. We already read Maisie the Mutt. Ooh. Okay. The Imp of Meadow Valley, and most popular creation of author R.W. Winfield, Wistful Winnie has had an interesting life that began when she first appeared in literature through Winfield's 1920s classic, Hearth of Meadow Valley. In this novel, Winnie played the role of a minor villain, being an unhelpful and dangerous pixie encountered by protagonist Millie Moonbeam. She captured Millie on her adventures and sang a rhyme about fleecing, cleansing, and eating the unfortunate bug, before being tricked by Millie into jumping in her own boiling pot. Okay, so maybe not the brightest tool in the shed. Or the brightest light bulb. I don't know. Maybe not the brightest, is what I'm trying to say. Oddly enough, this behavior did not deter children from adoring Winnie. Perhaps due to her whimsical, illustrated appearance, children would write numerous letters begging Winfield to write a sequel to the first novel. In their letters, they would mention the character of Winnie and wanting to see more of her schemes and songs. After many letters and knocks on his door, Winfield relented and wrote a sequel to his first book that was released about 2 years after the first novel. The book was a return to the world of Meadow Valley, in which large rolling machines have descended upon the garden. On her adventure to reach... On her adventure to reach the central machine, Millie Moonbeam was this time aided by a remorseful but still pernicious, wistful Winnie, much to the delight of children everywhere. It should be noted that, although more popular than Millie Moonbeam, R.W. Winfield never liked Winnie that much. In fact, near the end of his life, he was reported as saying he hated the character, although this could have been influenced by losing his ownership of Millie around the same time. He would call her an, quote, awful little beast that for some reason beastly children seem to love. After losing the rights to Millie Moonbeam, R.W. Winfield would take several years before writing anything new, coasting on his cut of earnings from merchandise, previous book sales, and his inheritance. After years of reclusive silence, he would write one final book. Wistful Winnie would feature in his books, as it detailed her travels across the long-dead Meadow Valley overtaken by pipes, steam, and rust. It was an extremely surreal book that ended with Winnie finding a writer's room in an old brick building and climbing into their inkwell, traveling to other stories and worlds anew. That actually sounds interesting. That sounds like something that would be up my alley. Let's see. Perhaps this book was reflecting the state that Winfield's mind was in at the time, having lost his most personal and dear character. Regardless, the book did not sell very well and is fairly unknown in modern times. In current time, Winnie serves as the face of R.W. Winfield Library, constructed during his final years. If you travel there, you can see her statue in the front entrance and a wall mural of her traveling Meadow Valley with other Winfield creations. Wistful Winnie. Oh. Alright. Back to the character index. Beatrice B. Oh, she's cute though. Oh. Okay. Seen on cartoons, candy wrappers, and storefronts around the world, the advertising giant Beatrice B heralded from the Beatrice Bartleby brand Candy and Sweets Corporation. Beatrice made her debut in the mid-1930s after years of Bartleby brands struggling to find their corporate identity. As recounted from the company archives, Marigold Fulch, the daughter of Bartleby co-founder Aaron Fulch, had visited one of Bartleby's 5 at the time factories. The next night, she had a dream inspiring her to draw the character that would be known as Beatrice B. From Marigold's own account, Beatrice had a, quote, impish spirit and delightful way of speaking. Upon seeing his daughter's drawings, Aaron Fulch knew what needed to be done, and in a few months' time, after several revisions and renderings, Beatrice B was introduced to the public. Beatrice was an instant success with the general public, with Bartleby Brands making itself a bigger domain in the industry. Her face soon could be found at any candy shop around the country. She was so popular, in fact, that Bartleby Brands began the production and release of dolls and storybooks, along with short mixed media commercials in which Beatrice would interact with humans and occasionally puppets. In these shorts, she would typically take on a simple persona, very much being more of a cutout for selling products than an actual character. This would all change around the end of the 40s. In the early 50s, Beatrice's presence would further its scope as Bartleby Brands commissioned Sixer Studios to create several animated shorts centered around their mascot. These included well-regarded shorts such as Six Heels of Fortune and On Honeyed Lips. In these shorts, Beatrice had more personality and was portrayed as a benevolent, if know-it-all brained fairy that came to the flavorless lands of Humdrum to spread her sweets among the gloomy masses. At the end of this short story, or the short series, Beatrice had taken her position as leader of the resident drumlings and became the queen she's presented as today. Beatrice's voyage into the entertainment industry also included talks to make a mixed media live-action and animated movie about her journey leading children into Candyland. A gigantic investment from Bartleby Brands that could have opened new avenues for the company. Sadly, this simply wasn't meant to be. The movie was doomed from the start as higher-ups became antsy about the amount of money spent on the film, the hellish tryout sessions, and several on-set mishaps. Bartleby Brands was forced to pull the plug on the movie. Bartleby would go on to make several smaller animated advertisements with Beatrice for the rest of its lifespan. And although the company went under in the late 70s, the impact of both them and Beatrice B can be felt to this day. She's cute. Let's see what she looks. Let's see what she sounds like. Oh, did I click it? I thought I clicked it.
Oh, but with just a droplet of my Bartleby Brand nectar, the most tasteless meal becomes a delectable entree.
Ooh.
With a honeyed hum and a whoop-de-doo, Bartleby's Brands provides for you.
Ooh. See, I'm very fascinated with like old-timey commercials too. I did in one of my classes in high school, we had to do a project where we had to create a commercial, like a live action commercial, and we watched a lot of commercials in preparation. It was very fascinating. Character index. Ooh. Wait, did we see everything on here? There's no advert. There's nothing else. Okay, not that I can see. Telelectric. Ooh. Why are you in the middle of the thing? The high-volt good luck charm of engineering and electrical company Telectrica Innovations, Telelectric was once a face of progress, innovation, and a neon bright future for the people across America. Created halfway through Telectrica's Innovations lifespan, this mascot went through a multitude of revisions, with many artists brought on board to design the new face of TI. The unnamed artist behind Telly would put in their public brief that they had been inspired by footage of American marching bands. The hypnotic twirling and precision of the band members reminded them of electricity and the wires that carried them along. Telectrica would then roll out several short animated videos with Telelectric promoting their products, giving safety advice and reading PSAs. As a character made primarily for advertising, Telly does not have much in the way of story or world. His own company describing him as a, quote, man from everywhere, unquote. However, he had a snappy and confident personality that amplified the... Oh, shit. What happened? Oh, did I get disconnected somehow? Okay, reconnection successful. Am I back? Can you guys hear me? Hold on, let me double check. That was weird. I wonder what happened. Okay, it looks like I'm back. Looks like we're good to go. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. That was weird. Yeah. Okay, anyway. Telelectric was what... However, he had a snappy and confident personality that amplified the pre-existing enthusiasm Telectrica customers had for the new wave of technological innovation and progress. Telelectric's most well-known feature culturally are, of course, Telectrica's series of holiday advertisements such as Telly in Lightland, Telly's Haunt, and Telly's Electrical Heart. In these shorts, Telly typically served as a confident helper of those in need, brightening up a neighborhood block on Christmas, using his electricity to illuminate walkways and keep children safe on Halloween, and lighting up his heart on Valentine's Day to encourage others to follow their hearts. Aww, I like him. He's cute. Additionally, Telly was further ingrained in the public conscious through Telelectrica's monthly subscription science newspaper. In these papers, Telly would walk the readers through the pages, and readers could also order experiment kits that had illustrations of Telly in the instruction book. Tully's personality has always been very benevolent, in cartoons, books, and otherwise. He was presented as an instructional and affable figure who people could rely on, and as such, rely on Telectrica innovations. Tully's popularity would die down in the late 60s after Telectrica's exhibition at the World Fair. Following several months of struggling to stay afloat in the increasingly hostile environment, Telectrica permanently shuttered its doors. After this, he would disappear from the public eye for many years. Near the end of the company's lifespan, several talks were arranged around buying the branding rights for Tully and Telectrica. However, ultimately, nobody seemed to want to purchase them. Here at the PENDGOD Creative Library, we hope to help people learn more about Tully and his interesting, tumultuous history. Let's turn this off real quick and listen to the voice clip.
I lend a spark to life. I can cook, I can clean, I can even move trains. Brought to you by Telectrica Innovations.
I like his voice too! The voice actors did a good job on this. Let's see, is there anything to click on this page? Nothing that I can see. Okay. Character index. Oh, okay, I'm not gonna play music for this one. Let's see what this is. Oh, okay, there's a lot of stuff going on here. What is this? Ah! There's a password. Okay. You're gonna have to find a password. Cool. Hi friends, Penny here. I felt that reading the below article in connection with this page would be important to understanding our work on Hecate, a most perplexing and hard to document character. If this is the first time you have heard about Miss Hecate, you are in the majority, for this character has survived only through written literature, defaced artifacts, and vague historical accounts. It is unknown what exactly Hecate looked like in her original incarnation. Copies of her design in the 50s have been recovered, but earlier than that, the trail goes cold, with only very damaged artwork that gives us little indication of her original cartoon appearance. Brought to our attention by an associate, this character is one of the core reasons for which we made the PENDGOD Creative Library. The winding trail of accounts and messy documentation are just as interesting as the cartoons Hecate herself featured in. From what we can glean from history books, Hecate was a female cartoon existing well before Maisie the Mutt, with features running well into the first years of the dog's run. We know from written descriptions that she had horns, red gloves, a worm-like appearance, and a scarlet smile. In songs documented from her old cartoons, she was described as having a, quote, personality like corpse flesh with the skin tone to boot. However, after this point, accounts regarding her become very hard to find. There are clues indicating a very storied history, and as we find them and verify this information, we will excitedly relay our findings to you. At the moment, we only have a single, very poorly maintained voice line of Hecate. We feel that regardless of the terrible condition, it has been retrieved and you are entitled to listen. Let's take a look at this in a little bit. Hecate cigarettes. Okay. Ugh, loud. That's not a voice clip. Hold on. Let me download this. Let me check something real quick. Let me hide this. Spectrograph online. Free, please. I don't want to draw on the screen. I want to upload something. Okay, hold on. Let me see. I'm testing something. Hold on, wait. Ah, shit. That looks kind of like a face, though, does it? Or am I just going crazy? Am I crazy? Hold on, let me stop it real quick. That looks like a road. Hold on. We're gonna stop it here. Oh, okay, it doesn't stop. Okay. Going back to what we were doing. I don't know what to make of that yet. That was interesting though. That doesn't sound like a voice clip to me. Also I saw something moving in this picture, but I couldn't make out what it was. I could have sworn I saw something move. Let me see. Yeah, see, it's moving. It's weird. I don't like it. Okay. Let's get out of here. Although Miss Kate's appears in various pieces of art, we have been hard-pressed to find details about her creation, what studio was responsible for her animations, and so on. For a character with such a large body of work, she is frustratingly difficult to learn about. She is one of the reasons we founded the PENDGOD Creative Library, to figure out just what the story is behind this mysterious character. The concept for carry on well into the 30s, but at this time, artistic depictions go no earlier than the 50s. Even then, much work was done just for the scraps of a story we are determined to put together. We are not certain whether Kate started out as a cartoon character for entertainment or for advertising. This is the earliest surviving artistic rendition of her, and as can be seen here, is horridly defaced. The archived item is dedicated to Ik-Ak. We miss you so much. Wait, what happened to Ik-Ak? Heavily damaged poster for a cigarette advertisement showing a woman with her back turned. I can click on the image. The viewer holding a box of cigarettes behind her back and smoking another. Her face is missing due to the poster's damage, but her pointed nose and lips as well as short, fluffy hair can be seen. Okay. She has pale skin and is wearing long gloves. Very look on a flavor you won't forget. Kate cigarettes. Okay, we can make it bigger. That's what cigarettes I'm in. No. No smoking. No smoking on the starship. Alright, so Miss Kate has a interesting thing going on. What about Lancer? Ah, back to the silly goofies. There's a lot more people on these now. Oh, there he is. Hi! The creation of... I want to take a walk in space to smoke outside the starship. That's fine. You can do that. I can put you out the airlock. The creation of syndicated newspaper artist Louis Pardane, Lancer the paper fiend, was an icon of the early 20s to late 40s. Created during Pardane's employment at the Calibridge Chronicle, the comic title Lancer in the Inkwell would revolve around Lancer's interactions with the reader, the space around him, and the text-speech bubble and borders of the comic. It was a very fourth-wall-breaking comic strip and fairly well regarded by readers for its funny, inventive usage of the medium. Lancer's personality in these comics would be described as a very curious, but easily irritated/pestered character that would often fight with the reader and or artist. He was a strong-headed creature that often employed physical violence to get what he wanted. It would sometimes erupt into angry blobs of text that covered the page. In one of his most well-known strips, he took a pen, stabbed the wall behind him, and words poured into the room. It was gags like these that drew fans to buy the paper just for Lancer's antics. When Pardane left Calibridge Chronicle to help build up the fledgling Liquid Laugh Pictures with close friend Ivan Hoth, several other artists would attempt to fill the role of drawing for Lancer and the Inkwell. However, due to various personal work and life-related issues, these replacements tended to quit within 1 or 2 months. The comics were never quite the same following Pardane's departure, as they were lacking the inventive fourth wall breaking they were once known for, and within 2 years the comic ended its run. Although Calibridge owned the rights to Lancer, Pardane continued to draw non-commercial art of the character long after his departure. Most of his art would be given away to friends and family, what remained afterwards was archived in his apartment home. In fact, the last thing Pardane ever drew was Lancer, because in the 60s he was found deceased at his home office mid-drawing. Oh shit. Lancer has a statue built in honor of Pardane's legacy, located outside the Calibridge Chronicle Historical Building. Interesting. We got Slishy Slasher, who is giving me Inspector vibes, but that's not a bad thing. Jane Perrell's infamous character, the Slishy Slasher, would feature in several of her later works and was typically depicted in abstract nightmarish landscapes, either being tormented by them or being the perpetrator of the events within them. Ooh. Not much can be said about the Slishy Slasher backstory or history, as what we know comes from rumors, gossips, and vague accounts of Perrell's own words. The Slishy Slasher was a manifestation or metaphor for a borderline personality disorder and her struggles with it. But what the character motivations were, what her end goals were, and the path she endured are unknown. However, with the current work on the restoration of The Stars in Blue storybook, based on the notes left behind by Perrell, this character's history should hopefully be revealed in time. The Slishy Slasher was often depicted by Jane as a murderous tall woman with an abstract swarm of arms at her employ that she would use to chop up puppets, people, and ideas while grinning a scarlet smile. Wasn't this mentioned before? The scarlet smile? Hi. You wanna come up? My cat's here. She's here to bother me. Are you baby? She's baby. She was depicted doing this in a very casual way, her human arms typically stuffed in her pockets and herself leaning to the side, while her additional arms went to work chopping and slicing away with straight razors. However, in her later work, the murderous agenda would be changed into something a bit more abstract, cutting the ribbons of people and breaking them apart. This could have been a more elegant metaphor for destroying relationships via cutting the, quote, red thread of destiny. Can I make this bigger? Yeah. Ooh, she's interesting. Based on the notes we've recovered from Jane's digital footprint, we can discern big run. We can discern the slasher was a deeply unhappy and jealous individual. Her early drawings of the character would have them demanding people to look at them and muttering jealous bile and insults at her targets. It's no wonder that people took the drawings personally and ostracized the artist. However, I can't help but feel that, messy and poorly explained as they were, these words are not directed at anyone but Jane herself. A betrayal of how she perceived BPD was manifesting within herself. Simply put, the Slishy Slasher was a hateful depiction of the self from an extremely self-loathing individual that eventually became a self-fulfilling destiny. In later illustrations, planned or completed, and written notes, the character was described as eventually finding something other than the life she currently lived, which is very interesting to think about. This definitely matches what I read of the Stars in Blue storybook, a work planned but never completed by Jane Perrell, which I am working with other artists to complete. In the drafts of the books, the slasher was described as eventually falling into another world, her story switching from horror, loneliness, and digging down to, quote, community, restorative justice, and mental wellness. An interesting character, not as famous or well-known, and definitely not popular as the character hosted on our archive. But one I thought our readers would appreciate learning about. This is very interesting. Let's see. Okay, nothing here. Except for Jane Perrell. Whoa. Interesting. This article is dedicated to a very obscure, complicated, and troubled individual. So take heed before reading. We are traveling into an unhappy history with an unsatisfactory ending. With that in mind, let's discuss Jane Perrell, digital illustrator, enthusiast for old cartoons, and intense horror fan. Most of what we can learn about Jane Perrell is sourced from accounts of friends, acquaintances, and those affected by her. We have fairly little info relayed from her own mouth, and her family has been... Well, we didn't think it would be right to contact them, nor do we think the information they might have on Jane would be truthful. Jane Perrell drew from a young age, but was never upfront with when she got hooked on the idea of cartoons. That said, a large body of her memorable work was released following the young woman's 20th birthday. From her earliest drawings, one could see a heavy focus on Rubber Hose-style cartoons, body horror, and grasping crowds of hands. She described herself as, quote, loving to cram as many details into her artwork as possible. She would draw in this style for about 3 years, posting her art periodically and slowly connecting with other artists she met online. The art she made was an expression of her love of abstract horror, and she felt that cartoons could be used for so much more in the genre than what they typically were. She would often write long, rambling threads about her desire for a slasher movie that started a cartoon front and center as the antagonist. Ooh, that actually is an interesting concept. Around the final years of her artistic career, Jane would shift her style into a 50s-inspired UPA cartoon aesthetic. She mentioned being burned out, and perhaps this was an attempt to do something new with her art and find creative enrichment through different art styles. The work she put out during this time was equally surreal and abstract, but with a meaner and more violent edge to it. Jane was a very troubled individual, graduating university during quarantine and returning to what she described to friends as a, quote, stifling, awful suburban family home, unquote. She would become increasingly dependent on online communities for attention and human interaction. It was clear that the artist felt alone in her house, regularly preparing for the inevitability of homelessness or being forced into a group home by other family members. Her desire for connection led into a habit of clinging to other artists she admired online, immediately assuming them to be friends and getting extremely possessive and angry when she felt she was being abandoned for other relationships. Perhaps due to the stresses and despair of her situation, she felt trapped and doomed. Regardless, she could be extremely difficult to be around and had a habit of lashing out verbally at those around her. After years of building goodwill online, it all exploded in the year of 2023. She began to slow away acquaintances and friends. It was an event I myself was vaguely aware of, but this was mainly through gossip and secondhand information from friends. During this time, her most violent and bleak art would be made, with her infamous character, the Slishy Slasher, featuring amongst the most troubling of them. A big part and controversy of her new art was that it featured her cartoon killer slaughtering inanimate puppets. It was something that scared off a lot of people, but when questioned about it, she had multiple explanations behind the meaning of her art. According to her, she felt like a puppet in her household, and as an autistic person who had let her life be written out for her and forced to play a specific role. The art was stated to be an expression of self-harm, hoping for someone to cut her strings, but on another account, she stated it to be a manifestation of her borderline personality disorder, a, quote, killer of relationships, unquote. Both are probably true. Regardless, she would sink deeper away from online spaces until she went missing. Nothing has been posted from her since. No matter how troubled of a person she might be, she could be deeply unpleasant and had an aversion to responsibility. But some pity is earned, I think. As someone who pities her, I think I am obligated to archive her work as an artist. We can only speculate on what could have been if she just worked on herself more. Months ago, someone sent me a link to her series of artwork surrounding a conceptual book called The Stars in Blue, a book that would have explored more of Slishy Slasher's history and perhaps reflect a more tender and remorseful side of Jane as she worked to give her character a happy ending. I have been working with several art friends in order to restore this book in the form of a collaborative project, in which everyone in the group draws a page described by Jane in the notes she left behind. I do kind of feel bad for her, but what is this piece over here? It's supposed to be like a magic eye thing? I can't zoom in. It's very interesting. Okay, back on the grind. Seymour and Strawberry. Or Strawbetty, excuse me. Oh, they're cute. I like this little one over here. That's cute. Happy Valentine's. Oh, look at that. Oh, he smokes. He needs to choose a tie. That's cute. Commissioned from the Silverstein Puppet Theater in Bartleby Brands in the late 60s, Seymour and Strawbetty quickly became an inseparable part of marketing for the company. Debuting in the short advertisement, A Spoon of Nectar, they would feature in following advertisements up until the company's eventual closure. According to Silverstein, Seymour was made to resemble saltwater taffy and Betty a strawberry. Seymour and Strawbetty were characterized by an ignorance of the world around them, relying on Bartleby's mascot, Beatrice B, to educate them and brighten up their dull lives with sugars, nectars, and desserts. Seymour was typically portrayed as somewhat vain and self-absorbed character, who nonetheless cared deeply for his more energetic companion, Straw Betty. Straw Betty would typically drag Seymour into adventures, persuading him into following whatever trial or activity Beatrice had planned for them. According to Bartleby Brands, Seymour and Straw Betty originated from a land without honey or sugar. The two of them were pushed out on a voyage to America by their families in order to find the secrets of good food. This was part of Bartleby's marketing strategy of appealing to American exceptionalism. Although well received, the two characters were never as popular as Beatrice, and only a few pieces of merchandise for them would ever be made. When the company began shuttering its doors, the two puppets disappeared from public view. For years, many puppet historians considered them to be lost for good, rotting in the basement of one of Bartleby Brand's many warehouses. However, in recent years, the two puppets have been recovered by puppet enthusiast and historian Emma Weckel. Emma restored the two and has been very kind in providing the library with photographs of the puppets. The photos are regularly sent to us by Emma, so be sure to check back often for updates on their puppet adventures. Ooh. Aw, they're so cute, guys. Look at them. Oh, they look at each other. One more, I think? Yeah, one more. Winona Woeful. Or Winerva. Winerva or Winona? Winerva. My bad. The main face of Hollowed Halls, this character started off as a book character and later was adapted into a puppet for television. For those with memories of being terrified by the characters in her stories around the early 90s, she is likely one of the more well-known characters on this website. Hollowed Halls was a series of horror novels written by Jeffrey H. Klein and illustrated by his wife, Deborah H. Klein. The books were episodic in nature, with each story focusing on a unique child facing some sort of horror. Sounds a lot like Goosebumps to me. These horrors range from mutant butterfly people sucking out people's brains to a story about killer curtains that strangled whoever came too close. The tales were anywhere from decently written to laughably ridiculous. However, what made them stand out was the imagination of the author's inventive creatures and the books being aimed toward the younger audience. Among the cacophony of butterfly men, killer curtains, mutant hummingbirds, and evil closets from outer space, one creature would emerge as the face of the series. The creature was Winerva Woeful, a scarecrow puppet that could tell the future. Her powers came with a drawback for those who sought them out, as the visions that she described would be so far into the future that it drove the seeker mad. When the book series was adapted into a television show, Winerva's story would be amongst the first of many episodes. Though through her creepy portrayal, she became one of the most infamous characters in the series. In future seasons, she would be at the face, returning for more books written in the wake of the televised adaptations such as Winerva Walks at Dusk and The Destiny of 5,000 Wakes. Winerva would eventually have a much less sinister puppet of her created and donated by the R.W. Winfield Library, or donated to the R.W. Winfield Library, which Jeffrey worked at during his younger years. The puppet would be used for reading time with children around October. Jeffrey has referred to Winerva as being an ambassador of horror for children, eager to delight in the horrific and strange, but knowing when to pull the escape lever so nobody gets hurt. She was also described by his wife as never being malicious, but always warning, showing children's parents, the victims of the books tended to be adults, horrific visions of awful fates that might lay in their wake. I'm going run, Mimi. Have a nice stream. Have a good night, hero. I hope you have a great rest of your night. I hope you have a good sleep. Take care of yourself, my friend. The victims of these books tended to be adults, horrific visions of awful fates that may lay in their wake if they don't change their ways. Thus, she serves as a fairy tale archetype, always eager to scare, but for a noble purpose and never to cause permanent harm. During our tour of the Winfield Library, we were delighted to be given the opportunity to photograph the Winerva puppet for our article. Aw, she's cute though. I like her. Oh. What is this? Ooh. Remember when tunnels were taken. Whenever scary stories for awful brats. Beauty. Okay, let me turn this up.
Well, hello, friends.
Hello, Minerva.
It's been now about ages since someone last stumbled into my quarters. Lucky for you, this puppet operates without quarters. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Ooh.
But what happens when the eyes are held in the wrong direction?
Oh, I don't like thinking about that.
Nothing good, no. The folks over at Troy Brands would tell you, if they still could. In fact, that reminds me of a poem. I shall read it to you now, and you may read along with me below. Down deep through the dirt, under filth and cacophony, twist round the bent bones, and past hollow esophagi. Return home to our mother, and warmth of cytogeny. Burrow darker into limbo, first ring of monotony. Your sister flawed and wrong, anger muddied her flesh. Her sister too a fraud, so ickle and fresh. Darkness swallows and swarms, starlings violent as they thress. Its water thins round and round, dig deeper, nonetheless. Each daughter whispered heresy in the symphony of mother. Taradiddle past stretch and press against one another. Only yet see lustful imago in passing flickers of her, twisting knots at each limb until we cover and smother. Greed tears away what's before us.
Are these
the
sins? The 7 deadly
build
sins?
upon tangled
Yes.
daughter, gluttonous hollows of debris. Break through the nothing hiding from sight our jubilee. Spiral down go the sisters in mindless, unfair treachery. Those are all the hints I can give you for now.
Hold on.
The puzzling and pondering is not for me
Oh, shit. I didn't mean to click that. Oh,
to do.
there we go.
Farewell.
Farewell.
Stay safe. Until we meet again.
Alright, hold on. Let me go back real quick.
So
So we have the 7 deadly sins, I think.
home to our mother limbo, and warmth
Oh,
of
wait, hold on. So let me see.
burrow
Limbo.
darker into limbo. First ring of monotony. Your sister flawed
Anger.
and wrong, anger muddied and fresh.
Fraud.
Darkness swallows and
Violent.
swarms, starlings violent as they thress. Its water thins round and round, dig spread hair.
Heresy. Oops. Why is it? Heresy, I think? Yeah.
In the one another, twisting
Lustful.
knots at each limb until we cover and smother. Greed tears away what's before us.
Greed.
Fill the
Greed.
brood with snicker sneak.
And then I think
Build upon tangled
gluttonous.
daughter, gluttonous hollows of debris. Break through the nothing hiding from sight of the sisters in
Treachery.
mindless, unfair treachery.
Alright, let's see. What is this? Oh, that's the poem itself, I think. Yeah, that's the poem. Okay. Episode 2, Invitation. Oh, that Penny. Always change the keys to her crime corner. Regardless, my advice remains the same. A different path this time, but the path to other secrets will be the solve. Long before mine, there were still children who gathered around the television set to watch and learn about their favorite puppet shows. Clubs and paper dolls show now memories of another time, although it's none of my business, of course, what other puppets do or who calls to them. The text beneath the images will never hold the answers. The worm, the rabbits, the sailor, and that blue ghoul focus on one before chasing another. Okay, hold on, wait. That's a hint. That for sure is a hint to us, the reader. So they said the worm, the rabbit, the sailor, and that blue ghoul. The worm. So the worm, the rabbit. Which one's a rabbit? That's a mutt. That's a firefly. I don't know which one's the rabbit. The blue ghoul and the sailor. I kind of want to focus on Dorothy Doo first, because I like Dorothy Doo. This is good though. The text beneath the images will never hold the answers. That's good to know. Okay. That's interesting. Some hints may become more clear as you explore the site further. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Let's see, Creative Archives. Let's go to the Creative Archives next. Ooh, there is a lot here. Oh, what is this? This piece was submitted by an anonymous donor claiming it to be relevant to our current search. It appears to be an abstract rendition of Miss Kate, with strikingly rendered eyes projecting rays of light. Or are they wings? That is up to you to interpret. It makes for a very impactful visual. It is here that I would like to take a moment to remember our archive member and close friend Ik Ak, host of the Founder Finders Lost Media Hunters, a dedicated and kind individual who helped us to recover a great deal of our current archive items related to Miss Kate. No! Ik Ak sadly passed away 1 year ago today, and his memory will always walk along this website. He was a massive fan of Miss Kate the moment he discovered her, and made it his life's mission to uncover her original media with a persistence and thoroughness that rivaled his peers. You know, that's how we met. I was looking for more information on Hecate, and he reached out to me, enthused that someone shared his interest in this lost character. We had similar backgrounds. We talked for hours about our interest and how important it was to preserve media because you never know what will happen. I'm sorry. I know it's inappropriate to be putting this in an article. I know I should be saving this for the blog and updates pages, but it's just really hard. It's been a whole year, but it's so unfair, you know? He was a friend, and he was taken away so soon. That's why I'm so dedicated to restoring and bringing to light Miss Hecate's history, for his sake. I think that would make him happy to know his work led to his goal, even if he wasn't there to reach the finish line. A horned woman against a red background, and posed over her are white flourishes with eyes drawn over them, with rays coming down from them as if tears. It's very pretty. I want to start from the beginning. From the very beginning. Sort by... hold on. Actually, let's sort by characters. Let's do the Hollowed Halls first. Ooh, this one's cool. Based on the spine-chilling book series. Okay. Following the success of the first 2 seasons of the Hollowed Halls television series, plans would be made to bring Minerva and her creepy-crawly friends to the big screens all across the world. This movie took the form of an anthology, which recounted 5 dreadful, scary stories from Jeffrey H. Klein. This movie was a big success, and is notable for being the team-up between 3 powerhouses of horror. Famous horror director Frank Baum signed on immediately for the film. With him he brought frequent collaborator and master of practical effects Tim Lyle. There would be 2 more movies following the phenomenal film. However, each one would receive lessening fanfare and be released with noticeable drops in quality. Regardless, this film caused ever increased interest in the source material and television series. Rumors about production are very popular, with several people stating the early days of production to be a nightmarish slog filled with accidents and frequent mishaps. However, it was said that whenever the Minerva puppet was brought on set, production would pick up in ease and quality. Thus, after consulting with the director, it was agreed to have the Minerva puppet on set at all times as their good luck charm. Character Minerva Woeful is talking through a brown window. Also, advertisements are about to start, so I'm going to probably take another break real quick. Also, Tara, welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing well. I'm sorry I did not notice you sooner. We're going to go into an ad real quick, I think. Are we going to go into an ad? We'll find out. But in the meantime, let me just... Okay. Can't do that. Let's see. I think we should start with the sailor, Dorothy Doo. What do you guys think? Oh, content warning. What the fuck? Weeping lips and slitty slasher concepts. We'll check those out later. Oh, ad started. Okay, I'm gonna go take a quick break. We will be back in 3 minutes. 3. Tee hee hee. We're back from the ads. Want a break from the ads? Let's do the Dorothy Doo read along first, I think. Ooh. The above record is a read-along storybook that was released after the overwhelming success of the Dorothy Do movie. This item includes a 24-page illustrated adaptation of the movie's events and the film soundtrack. Ooh! The illustrator of the record's cover used Dorothy's puppet design due to unknown reasoning, but it's possible that it was an error on their part. Photograph of the front of the vinyl record and book package for Dorothy Do in the deep blue is listed as number 78 on the corner of the book cover. This cover features Dorothy Do, a human-looking puppet character wearing a sailor's outfit with pale skin and short yarn hair. He is standing in the middle of a foggy pier, holding a rope, looking shocked as he stares into the distance. There is a lighthouse shining its light in the distance. Text next to him reads story and music from the original motion picture, narration by Rich Raposo. A strip at the bottom reads copyright blacked out part by Massey, printed in the USA. Interesting. This package includes a 24-page book and a 7-inch 45 RPM long playing record. Follow along in Dorothy Do's most daring adventure yet. Adapted for younger audiences, help Dorothy make it back home in this exciting novelization of Barbara Massey's blank film, Dorothy Do in the Deep Blue. This beautifully illustrated book and record features special sound effects and the score from the original motion picture to enhance your child's reading experience. Designed as a teaching aid and storyteller, this book will give your child a head start learning how to read with word-for-word narration. Provided by the talents of Rich Raposo. A special sound will play to alert your child as to the proper time to turn the page. Why is it blacked out though? That's my question. Dorothy Do. These paintings were created for the Dorothy Do movie. The artist involved wanted to adapt Dorothy for the modern age and create an exciting new era. Its creation was very much in anticipation for an eventual animated TV show, and although it was a much different design compared to Dorothy's puppet counterpart, Barbara Massey was confirmed to have approved the design before finalization. It should be noted that the plans for an animated television show were done under the nose of Massey, in a case of the studio assuming it was an inevitable next step for the franchise. However, the conclusion of the show in the years that followed would put a shutter on these plans. Massey had an unusually large amount of control over her creative property. When she said it was over, it was a contested but unconquerable decision. Helena Venmer. The Heart of Dorothy Do, a human-looking puppet character wearing a sailor outfit. He has pale skin and short wavy hair. In the first drawing, he is seen from the side, grinning and directing his gaze to the right. Why are we screaming? I don't know if you could hear that. My cat was very loud for a second. Why are we screaming? What can you do? Oh, you're so baby. You want to come up? You want to come up? Which one are you? Figure. Oh, that's purple for sure. Kippy. Yeah, I have two cats, Urania and Thalia, but we call them Purple and Pinky for short. They are babies, but sometimes they can be little rascals too. I love them though. I love them dearly. Dorothy Do comics though. Several seasons into the Dorothy Do puppet show, Well Comics reached out to Barbara Massey with the proposition of creating a limited series run of comics focusing on Dorothy Do and his adventures through the deep blue sea. Barbara, excited by the prospect of pushing Dorothy into new mediums, quickly accepted the proposal, and several months later, the first issue of Dorothy Do comics would be released to the public. These comics were extremely popular and helped to create further excitement around the already well-known property. In these comics, Dorothy would be involved in a similar narrative structure as his television show, traveling to different oceans and islands and meeting friendly and fearsome individuals alike. These comics were notably less dark than the show, with the threats leaning towards the silly and annoying in contrast to the show's fearsome cast of antagonists. Dorothy Do comics, 10 cents. On the cover, a puppet sailor with shoulder-length hair looks down to the distance from his boat. Aww. I like him. That's interesting. A mask created in the wake of the success of the Dorothy Doo show. This mask, donated to us by an anonymous source, could be seen on the faces of children across America once upon a time. These masks would enter use outside of Halloween, being worn by young fans for live events featuring Dorothy, while watching the show at home or playing make-believe with friends. Although deteriorated and in poor condition, I encourage you all to engage with this artifact from a place of fondness and curiosity. Imagine how many adventures it might have gone on, the many days it spent being adored. Was never a big fan of masks, personally. Not really. Ooh, this one looks interesting. Echo Broadcasting. We should also investigate Echo Broadcasting after this. Dorothy Doo's first VHS debut, launched after season 2, consisted of 3 small episodes from the large selection of the Deep Blue catalog. However, these early distributions were a risky endeavor for the company, and as such, they played it close to their chest, hence the small selection of episodes. This VHS box art was drawn by Emily Braintree and created by Echo Broadcasting. Okay. The Stitch mouth is kind of creepy to me a little bit, but I also understand. What fun adventures await? Join Dorothy Doo and their crew in the 7 seas as they fight villains, see new lands, and make friends. Have a ball while solving problems and learning valuable lessons with Dorothy in this compilation of 3 episodes from the Dorothy Doo and the Deep Blue television series. All your pals will be there like... Seabiscuit and the Dragon. So be ready to get your sail hats and ride along for an adventure of whimsy and fun. Running time 65 minutes. Okay. I'm going to open up Echo Broadcasting in a new tab. We're going to continue on with Dorothy Doo. Oh, we already have a Dorothy Doo tab. Let's get rid of that one. Post movie. Ooh, this one kind of reminds me of Nancy Drew for some reason. I think it's because I'm thinking of Nancy Drew, Secret of the Hidden Clock or something like that. There's a very famous picture of Nancy Drew with like in this kind of pose, and it's giving me that vibe, and it's really cool. So, in the years following the Dorothy Doo movie, the Dorothy Doo comics would take on a new design for Dorothy that mimicked his appearance in the animated movie. The comics would run for several more issues following the conclusion of the show, however they too would eventually cease production. In the first comic cover, you can see Dorothy's companion Seabiscuit, Seabiscuit the seal, a character introduced as a puppet in the show. Seabiscuit was presented as a lovable but stubborn friend who was adopted by the sailor as a puppy. Aww. This was revealed in the comics, however. In the show, his past with Dorothy was never mentioned. Interesting. Going back. Dorothy Doo's storybook page. Many illustrated storybooks were created following the success of the Dorothy Doo show. This recovered page features the long-running character Brightfin the Sea Serpent. Introduced in the original novels, then later adapted into a puppet for the show, Brightfin, also referred to as the Dragon, was characterized as a large, moody creature that hardly got along with anyone other than Dorothy. However, a lot of the destruction caused by this character was unintentional rather than pure malice. His skills were said to grant wishes, and due to this, he often had to avoid sailors and treasure hunters. Dorothy returned one of his skills, and for this reason, he earned the Sea Serpent's favor. Ooh, that's cool. I'm really liking this. Drawing, fan club poster. After this, I think we might investigate Miss Kate. Or no, we're going to do Echo Broadcasting, and then we're going to investigate Miss Kate. A letter to a friend from Barbara Massey included this illustration of Dorothy Doo. It's one of the many drawings that she would include in her letters. This one in particular was drawn shortly after the premiere of the Dorothy Doo puppet show. Although a writer above all other things, Barbara was enthusiastic to try out other art forms as evidenced by her later puppeteering work. She would doodle her characters often, however, never for mass-produced work. For this reason, these are very hard to find. It's cute though. I like it. Oh, there's only one echo. Okay. I'll close this one. I like this. Wait, did it get bigger? I could have sworn it was like bigger last I checked. Hold on, I want to keep this one open. And we're going to see if this gets bigger or not. It's an experiment. We're experimenting. It's science. Actually, hold on. Why is that one on the other side? Soon after season 3 of Dorothy Doo and the Deep Blue aired, the official Dorothy Doo fan club was established. Members would pay a monthly fee to receive newsletters and, on occasion, be the first to receive new merchandise not yet sold in stores. The club ran until the end of the show, with the final newsletter wishing the members farewell and good luck on their own journeys throughout the sea of life. After the official club disbanded, many others popped up in its place. They were mostly local communities made by fans for fans, creating zines and stories of their own to fill the Dorothy-shaped hole in their hearts. Me with Wander Over Yonder. These types of clubs slowly faded away after the rise of the internet, instead turning into countless blogs and forums. However, one notable fan club is still running strong. Established just after the show's end, this club has been incredibly dedicated to Dorothy Doo for more than 30 years. Much like the official club, they send out physical newsletters several times a year, occasionally sending fan-made merchandise such as posters, zines, and badges. This fan club is, in some ways, the only still living part of Dorothy's legacy since the show ended, and is notoriously difficult to join. This poster is one of the aforementioned goodies from around the early 2000s. The anonymous artist has combined Dorothy's animated and puppet designs into one, a delightful mix of new and old. The scene is based on an episode from season 4, in which Dorothy must rescue a ship and its crew who have been trapped in a bottle by a kraken. How thrilling! This item was gifted to the archive by our dear friend Emma Weckel. Thank you so much. Hold on, let's take a closer look at this. That is so cool. I also forgot about the music. I think I'm going to keep the music off for now, because it was kind of distracting me. No, it didn't get bigger. Okay, maybe I'm just imagining things then. A ragdoll. Collecting dolls as a hobby has become more and more popular over recent years, but that doesn't mean it's anything new. Standing at 16.5 inches, these special collector's edition Dorothy Doo ragdolls were sold across the US for $10.30, roughly over $100 today, during the later half of the show's run. This promotional flyer advertises the store's exclusive deal of only $4.65, around $50. What a bargain! That's about half off. What made this line of Dorothy dolls different from their more affordable counterparts was the stunning attention to detail and the quality of materials used. His clothes were able to be removed, his shoes were made of real genuine leather, and his face was delicately hand embroidered, just to name a few. And as a cherry on top, it came with its own stand for collectors to proudly display. In comparison, the cheaper, mass-produced plain-line Dorothy dolls at the time were of much poorer quality. Their bodies were made from a cheap muslin. Part of their clothes were sewn into their body, their hair was thinner and rooted more sparsely, and their faces were machine-printed. Plain-line dolls of a similar size usually averaged at around $2.94 at the time, around $30 today. If you'd like to find your own plush sailor, the modern market of Dorothy Doo collectibles has plenty to choose from. However, good luck on finding this particular item, let alone being able to afford it. These dolls were extremely sought after in the modern day, usually reselling for over $1,000 at the cheapest. God damn. A darling for you, it's Dorothy Doo, the beloved little crewmate hailing from the deep blue, from the television show children know and love. Dorothy's hair is made of the softest yarn, his sweet little sailor regalia with its iconic hat, and the finest cotton, little leather boots, all included in a special box, adorned with images of his adventure. Lovingly handmade, of the finest materials, made to last and be a friend for life. Our price is special, sold in other retail stores. These dolls sell for $10.30. Our price, $4.65 each. For more merch of Dorothy Doo and the Deep Blue, check out page 10. Though unfortunately, we don't have page 10. I don't think. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. I opened it in a new window by accident. Hold on. Bam. Opening a new tab, please. Ooh. Captain Lideker on the docks, looking out at the ocean blue. From the right of the page, clouds are rolling in to cover the blue sky. Dorothy Doo and Mapkeeper discussing directions. They are sitting on the docks with Dorothy curiously looking at a map in his lap while Mapkeeper points to spots on it. Behind them, clouds in the sky, along with flocks of birds. Dorothy hiding a young sea biscuit under his coat while a seal hunter searches around with a net in hand. Dorothy wears an apprehensive look on his face as he retreats behind a fence to avoid suspicion. From beneath the coat, the young seal peeks out with doleful eyes. Aww. Dorothy Doo teaching Seabiscuit tricks as the sun sets on the deep blue. Seabiscuit is balancing a stack of objects on his nose while Dorothy sits on the ledge and merrily gestures towards the young seal. Ooh, Dorothy Doo and the cook in the diner. Dorothy looks awestruck at a plate of lobster tail and clams. The cook looks confident and proud of her work. Behind them, ceiling lamps hang above a smoky and empty diner. Dorothy Doo sitting on the deck of his ship and furiously looking up at the hang glider flying through the air. Okay, let's see. No. What are you doing, you silly girl? Don't knock things over. That's rude. Okay. Oh, I need to get out of here. Okay. Following the success of the Dorothy Doo show, several picture books summarizing the events of the original series would be released. These picture books were beautifully illustrated by Diana Fox, a well-known illustrator who would later go on to illustrate similar adaptations of R.W. Woodfield's work. Dorothy Doo show cast and crew. Ooh, there's an intro tune. In this article, we will be discussing a topic which has been a long time coming. That's right, we are, with the support of the Mast Foundation, detailing the characters which appeared in the Dorothy Doo show. Thank you so much to our sponsors who made this possible and lent original production art from their collection. During the puppet show's run, one would regularly see the following 10 characters. Let's take a look at them one by one. Captain Lideker, a gruff but gentle individual encountered by Dorothy Doo on his travels in the third book of the Deep Blue series. Captain Lideker is one of the most well-known characters in the entire series aside from its titular star. The captain was a captain only in name, for he was the only inhabitant of his small traveling ship. He would often stop for meetings with Dorothy while the two were out on the waves. In fact, the characters would never be encountered on any island that Dorothy visited, only encountering the sailor during sailing scenes. This was a very curious choice by Barbara. It might have been done to help balance the number of characters in any given scene. Captain Lideker was a smart and compassionate character with knowledge rivaling that of the historian. For a while, the historian was book-smart and intelligent in the history of places. Lideker had the knowledge required to survive at sea. He knew when to set sail and when to hunker down for the night. He is the one who taught Dorothy to fight, although this would only be mentioned in the books. He had a rivalry with Brightfin, who allegedly ate his favorite boot many years ago and has been sailing the Deep Blue ever since in pursuit of the Serpent. He was a member of the army who fled his duties for some reason. Interesting. Let's see. What does he sound like?
Aye, the sea is a source of comfort for an old man like me. It loosens my sore bones, and a lung at sea is healthier than a lung at land, I say. Bah, you call that a swing? Let me show you how it's done, boyo. I've sailed between frost-covered mountains and foggy, scorched skies. Seen the great Serpent himself swim right underneath my boat. It'll take much more than a little pirate to shake me from this seat. Now, Dorothy, there will be a day that you will not see me any longer on these waves. Brace yourself for that day, and know one day someone much like yourself will brace for you to do the same. Take care, boy. Take care.
Aww, I like him. He seems interesting and nice. Let's see. That's a cute ship. Brightfin. Well, we've talked about Brightfin on the site previously. We will refresh your knowledge with this summary. Introduced in the original novels, then later adapted into a puppet for the show, Brightfin, also referred to as the Dragon, was characterized as a large, moody creature that hardly got along with anyone other than Dorothy. Despite his large and intimidating appearance, a lot of the destruction caused by this character was unintentional rather than pure malice. His scales were... okay.
Ah, if it isn't the ineffable Dorothy Doo himself. It's been ages since I last saw you in these waters. Tell me, friend, how have your travels been? I recall eating a boot once, but to be honest, that captain's lucky I didn't eat the whole ship. He interrupted my slumber. If you swim down deep enough, there are things much bigger than I, Dorothy. I'm just what breached the surface.
Oh, shit.
You who sails these waters and does not understand their might, I will crush your ship beneath my tail, and my scales will flash like lightning against the waves. Stay well and do good, Dorothy, do, my dear friend.
Mapkeeper. The stern and well-mannered guide of Dorothy Doo and her crew, this character originated as a minor character from the book series. Appearing in book number 2, Barbara felt that there was more to be explored with her character, and as such, when deciding the roster for her show, picked her out of the lineup for recurring characters. The Mapkeeper was a character who lived to chart and map the corners of the world and was happy to lend her maps to anyone with a trustworthy face and a desire to travel. Unfortunately, she would often be duped into sharing her maps with the hang glider, whose professed charm always seemed to fool her. To her dismay, he would often end up losing her maps or otherwise damaging them. The Mapkeeper worked in conjunction with the historian to teach Dorothy about important things, like how to travel to other places and discover new countries, which is most of why she was important at all in the story. Otherwise, she really didn't have a big role to play.
Oh, Dorothy, it is so nice to see you out in this part of the deep blue. I was just wrapping things up, but I assume you'd want me to hang around a little longer. Wouldn't want you getting lost. Maps in a snap. Where do you want to be? Let's see what we can see. Right now, you're looking at what was once the Gulf of Spain. 1,000 miles from any known civilization. Why, that hang glider, I could throttle him! If he wasn't such a smooth talker, I'd snap his neck. Oh, Dorothy, why don't you rest your head a while? These are safe waters. I've charted them thoroughly. You will rest and keep care of yourself, won't you, Dorothy?
Hang glider. The silliest member of the crew, the hang glider was most known for routinely causing problems in many episodes by crashing his hang glider into islands and needing to be saved by Dorothy Doo. He was a real laugh. He was also incredibly hard to impress.
That sunset? Yes, I suppose it is nice. If you've seen one, you've seen them all, though.
Oh,
you should see the ones we have back home. Oh, yes, I was paying attention to all that, but I was wondering, could you grab me a whiskey? Dutch whiskey. I won't accept anything less. Yes, well, I suppose I consider you, not a friend, but a reliable constant. I would be much agitated if you were to die. And maybe your constant beatings and barbarism have made me think on some things. Keep well, Dorothy Doo.
Seabiscuit. The loyal animal companion of Dorothy Doo, Seabiscuit the seal was always by the sailor's side. Seabiscuit was introduced as a character for the Dorothy Doo television show to give Dorothy someone to talk to during his adventures. Although never starred in the show, the comics later established that Dorothy found Seabiscuit as a pup. Dorothy raised the baby seal with so much affection that he grew larger than any other, big enough for Dorothy to ride through the waves on his back. Despite being a cute and cuddly creature, Seabiscuit was never treated as a pet. Instead, he was Dorothy's best friend and equal. Seabiscuit was generally very playful and carefree, chasing birds, floating on the water, and performing tricks to make Dorothy laugh when he was sad. He was quick to help when help was needed, although his flippers and sighs sometimes caused more trouble, and loved to sunbathe on the deck of the ship during the pair's downtime. However, just like a real seal, he could quickly turn fierce when he or Dorothy were in danger, and during fights could take on whole hordes of bad guys by himself. Holy shit. Seabiscuit.
Dorothy, look over there, to the starboard side. There's a ship. I think they need our help. Frightened? No way! Well, maybe just a little.
Maybe just a little bit.
How about a song to lighten the mood? Come on, Dorothy. We're your best pal. Now see here. Just because I'm all soft and round doesn't mean I'm any old yellow belly. This seal is bark and bite. Oi, 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 oi.
I love you, Seabiscuit. I would die for you,
We
Seabiscuit.
like the sea. Sailing from place to place every day, we get to see lots of interesting things and meet lots of interesting people. Don't you get tired of being in the same place all the time? Oh, please stay safe, Dorothy.
Historian. Introduced in the very first book of the Deep Blue series, the Historian was a timid, stuttering, and curious man who knew many things about the places visited by Dorothy during his travel. He would often be at the main setting of the chapter or episode by the time Dorothy arrived and would serve as exposition for the current conflicts or background of these locations. He knew the one true history of the world. Opposing silhouette to the navigator as a visual foil on top of dynamic. Ooh. What the fuck? The floaters. One of the most long-lasting and memorable additions to the show was the presence of the floaters, skeletons of long-dead sailors who typically floated alongside Dorothy's ship. During scene transitions, they narrated the journey in a barbershop-like manner, being taken and also setting the mood for the new location. These characters were entirely a new addition to the show and were not present in the books. However, Barbara was notably enthused about their inclusion as it offered the presence of more music in her passion project. Okay. Captain Cadaver. The Bane of the Deep Blue, Captain Cadaver was a character so ferocious that she scared an entire generation of children and parents alike. She was an evil pirate. Art of a maniacal-looking pirate with braided golden hair and a bloody black pirate hat. Her clothing is tattered and her teeth chipped and disjointed. Her upper face is hidden in shadows and her eyes are two simple luminous white orbs. Interesting. The Cook. A boisterous... Ooh, there's a lot. A boisterous but airheaded woman, the Cook appeared first in the books and later became a regular on the TV show. Characterized as a little clueless but extremely passionate about her work, she put 100% into everything she did, even when she wasn't entirely sure what she was doing. Dorothy would frequent her tavern, which took the form of a large pot floating in the ocean, often getting roped into helping the cook in the kitchen or tracking down rare ingredients for her food. Her segments began when the pot tipped over, panning inside to reveal her tavern. The cook was famous for her ability to always make something delicious, no matter how odd or limited her supplies, often trying bold, new flavors and ingredients to surprise her patrons. She'd encourage her friends to try it before you decide you don't like it, despite her food being made of weird things like raw octopus or algae.
Great jumping jackfish! Now, I mean no offense when I say that's the most peculiar dish I've ever heard of. You must teach it to me. Dorothy, dude, just the sail I was hoping to see today. You wouldn't happen to have any spare barnacles on your ship there, would you? I ran out of oysters and figured they're close enough. Voila! My newest creation. Octopus souffle salad. What's with those faces? At least try it before you decide you don't like it. Why, if someone were to act up like that in my establishment, I'd hit him over the head with my frying pan. Acting like he's too good for their cooking when he hasn't even tried it. What a snob. Stay strong, sailor.
Ooh. Oh, I like that. Puppets. The puppets for the Dorothy Doo and the Deep Blue show were marvelous pieces of art, leaps ahead of other shows at the time in terms of technology and craftsmanship. Building the puppets and making them move was something akin to magic. The humans were wooden marionettes, and the animals were cloth hand and rod puppets. Interesting. Interesting fact from the Mast Foundation, for some reason, Dorothy never flew a proper flag. The sails were always a blank cloth. What does it say? Ow! The ship itself has 5 flags. Let's see. I can't read what that says. Ow! Let's see. Continuing on. Oops. You were here. The intro tune. The haunting and beautiful theme for the Dorothy Lee show. The song was created by Barbara with the help of musician Polly Mill. When asked for her inspiration, Barbara would explain that during her many ocean travels, she had heard a lone sailor singing something similar during one warm, foggy morning as she sat on the docks watching him go by. She stated that the song embodied the ocean and life on the sea. That such a small song stuck with her for so many years probably hinted at just how recognizable and long-lasting the reinterpreted theme would be for the American viewers of the show. Let's see.
In seas that comes of lands unknown, these fantastical tales are in town. So drift along to be forever blue. Follow friends. I'm Dorothy Doo.
I like it. I like this. Dorothy Doo re-release cover. Following the success of the Dorothy Doo and the Deep Blue series, many secondhand and re-released book covers would be generated and distributed to the public. Unfortunately, as is the case with even as popular a franchise as Dorothy Doo, preservation was not on the minds of many people at the time, leaving many of the book covers to be lost to time. Aww, look at that. I think they're the same picture. Photograph of a book featuring Dorothy Doo leaning reclined over the edge of a porthole. Cool. Dorothy Doo playset. Created following the success of the Dorothy Doo show, these stand-up paper dolls are very rare and valuable find that were generously donated to us by the Mast Foundation. We are extremely grateful for their sponsorship this update and for the opportunity to get a hold of such an important piece of Dorothy Doo history. This playset included Dorothy, the cook, Bright Finn, Seabiscuit, Captain Littiker, and Mapkeeper. Children could play pretend with these cute standees and reenact the events of the Dorothy Doo show. Later editions of the box that these toys came in could be unfolded and cut along the lines to form a makeshift cardboard boat. However, this set provided to us sadly was missing this feature. Regardless, it is remarkable, and it's remarkable to have the full set of characters at all. That's cool. That's really cool. Oh, look at that. They have little mini thems. This is cool. The birthday invitation, which I think I saw earlier. Donated by the founder of the Mast Foundation, this is one of many invitation/card sets created in the wake of the Deep Blue success. Once lining the shelves of every drugstore and shop around the U.S., these cards are now extremely difficult to find. On the card, you can see this little sailor himself and treating the recipient to attend what was surely a lively party. These cards would change yearly, often being produced in limited runs, and as such, unused cards would often be traded around by fans of the show. Makes sense. And finally, Dorothy Doo movie concept art. In the pre-production art from the Dorothy Doo animated movie, we can see one of the first designs proposed when bringing Dorothy Doo into an animated format, This take on his design was much more closely resembled his classic illustrated appearance. Though there are certainly hints of his final design present. Ultimately, the studio wanted to forge a new era for Dorothy Doo, and his design went through a few more changes before they landed on the final Dorothy we see in the film. Interesting. Let's see. Let's try Miss Hecate. Why are there... Oh, she's pretty. Oh no, she's hot! Submitted by an anonymous donor, this appears to have been a model sheet for Miss Hecate that was created in the 50s. No animated equivalent can be found, however. We have verified that this is in fact not current art being submitted as a prank. Without further info, we can't say much except that here Hecate is depicted in the popular UPA art style of the time period. This archived item is dedicated to Ik-Ak. We miss you so much. Okay. Robert Weber, aka Cotton Candy, was a painter defined by his strikingly stylized and cartoonish paintings. As you can see here, his work heavily utilized shadows and depth in their rendering, but also gave the subject exaggerated caricature proportions. Weber was a very outgoing and personable artist, with his presence being known in many artist circles during his prime. However, later in life, Robert would become extremely reclusive and withdraw from his frequented circles, taking only a few more commissions and releasing even fewer independent works in his remaining years. This piece was painted near the waning years of Weber's career and was titled Hecate. Was he commissioned to paint this by a fan of the original cartoons, or maybe by Hecate's current rights holders, whoever that might be? We're not sure, as besides the name, there is only a brief description from Weber on the piece that reads, quote, "As I sat down to paint, I became distracted by a red thread or hair which had drifted onto the canvas. And from this hair I saw an entire person and an entire woman. So I let it guide me as I transcribed her form with paint." On the eve of his 75th birthday, Weber went missing from his estate, and to this day has never been found. What a mystery. Interesting. You saw that one. Good luck, Dame. "I adore you all," Miss Hecate called. But just as she began to sing, she was kicked out with all her things. Sadly left upon the road, not even a lamplight to bring her home. Suddenly Miss Hecate had a thought, and then she looked at you. So now she walks on the path that talks, the pictured trail of new. Interesting. This was among the first items regarding Hecate to be submitted to the PENDGOD Creative Library. It was submitted to us with many missing pages. There is also a lot left unknown about the nature of this book, such as what company it was made for, or if it was even official. However, what we can see here is another instance of Hecate in her 50s incarnation, depicted as someone who went from fame to rags and down on her luck. From here, we can speculate on Hecate's nature as a fictional character. Was she an angel that got kicked out from heaven and onto the streets? Maybe. It wouldn't be that hard to believe, but whether this is a typical depiction of a story-specific instance is unknown. The artist and writer behind this work were hard to research. Milton Crane only wrote one other book prior, Dog Songs for Good Children, before seemingly quitting writing altogether. His partner, Dan Hook, was even harder to find, and we have no prior or future works from him available, which is to say he might have been an illustrator that dipped his toes into commercial work before leaving it behind altogether. Still, it's sad that his body of work remains invisible to us in the modern day. If his book illustrations are any indication, it would have been wonderful to see. Let's see. What about sort of a tag? Hecate? Question mark? Ooh. The paintings of Milford Sykes were defined by strong usage of shapes, bodies which faded out into hazy brushstrokes, and characters with pinched, narrowed eyes. Milford Sykes began drawing in his 30s and quickly found himself under the employ of various companies and independent commissioners. He stated about his own work that he rejected concrete settings and place, preferring to focus on characters, shapes, and movement, which often led to paintings in which the characters were placed in an unidentifiable space. Found amongst his unpublished work upon his death, this piece appears to depict Miss Hecate. It is unknown for whom this piece was commissioned or why it was never released upon completion. This archive item is dedicated to Ik-Ak. Actually, let me try something. Ik-Ak is not the password. Yeah, okay, I did spell it right. Helena Troy Beauty Brands. Aw, that's cute, actually. A bit of an unusual post today. This will be a history lesson, a discussion of our local mystery and a creative archive post all in one. Which is to say this article will be fairly large compared to what is normally posted on the creative archives. In this article, we will be covering beauty company Troy Brands, their beloved mascot Helena Troy, and their creative ventures. We will also be looking at possible connections between their character and local cartoon mystery, Miss Kate. Ooh. Troy Beauty. What does that say? Leave a little spark wherever you go. Founded in... Oh, there's one more. Hold on. She's cute. Lasting freeze spray firm hold. Founded in the late 50s, Troy Brands was a relatively small company started on a small dream by an even smaller individual known as Philip Barnum. Barnum's background in beauty and fashion were nothing special. However, he was among many trying to get a foot in the door during an era in which fashion and beauty were being revolutionized. The potential for fortune was ripe for the taking. Every girl's best friend. Started Troy Brands with a large loan from his father and the support of friends already in the industry. Barnum would try for years to make a name for his company. In the industry, he was an amazing marketing man, but in the words of his own friend, not so good at releasing quality products. It was this mix of showmanship and incompetence that saw the company struggling along for 2 years or so. Barely turning enough of a profit to stay afloat, but always with Phil making promises of, "We'll get big eventually, if you stick with me," to underpaid employees. With this in mind, it shouldn't be that surprising to learn that in the year of 1958, debt collectors were visiting the premises regularly, and Barnum was stuck in his office desperately trying to figure out how to pull the company out of its situation. This all changed in the summer of that same year when Barnum emerged from his office, presenting to his small marketing team the design that would end up saving the company. It should be noted that Barnum was not a good artist. Failing to make a living off of artwork prior to this venture and this work, while available for viewing, is honestly so poor that it would be an insult to him to host it on the site. However, the pressure of incoming financial ruin must have lit a fire in the man's creative ability, because the character he presented to his marketing team was an instant hit. Helena Troy. That's a cute name. Her name was Helena Troy, an obvious play on Helen of Troy from mythology. With a cute visage and stylish outfit, this character immediately moved into the main marketing for the company, and from there things seemed to improve. People from all over the country were forming lines to buy their products, and the quality of their beauty line began to increase rapidly as well. Perhaps spurred on by the exponential income resulting from Helena's success. Helena was described by the company as every girl's best friend and the girl's so beautiful cities topple in her wake. This prior motto would extend to Troy Brands' intense marketing aimed towards young women and girls who became the prime customers. Soon, almost every household in America could be found to contain their beauty products, with little girls across the country owning Troy brand clay purses and nail polish. The company's rise in the beauty industry was not without casualties, as many beauty companies, some owned by the friends who had helped Barnum to get his start in the first place, would be forced to shutter their doors due to being undercut by Troy Brand's low prices and quality products. It should be here that we note Barnum was a very ruthless businessman. He was reported to leave his friends hanging in peril, waiting for them to declare bankruptcy before swooping in to plunder their corporate empire and bringing it under the Troy Brand fold. When a beauty company started to show promise of being a future threat, Troy would do one of two things: buy out the company and give the former owners positions as consultants, or starve them out of customers and approach them again with the same offer. Helena Troy, meanwhile, would feature on lipstick, nail polish, clothing, beauty magazines, and more. Her character was stated to be, quote, a woman who's lived for the excess of life and let her heart take the steering wheel. She was also typically portrayed as someone who, when seeing something she wanted, would doggedly pursue it, often to her own detriment. In magazine strips and production art, Helena would tend to fall in love with someone or obsess over something. And when this happened, her eyes would narrow together into a heart shape. This was referred to in production as her love blinders. Aww. Down, up, side. Helena Troy box. These stories would usually end with Helena nearly getting what she wanted, but then at the last minute would get too ambitious and ruin everything for herself. This would range from accidentally sending her love interest tumbling off Niagara Falls, holy shit, or opening a brand new theater production way too early and selling no seats at all. Aww. I like the heartbreak eyes. What does it say? Rip. Oh shit, there he goes. Helena's popularity would grow to be so much that plans were made in order to create an animated TV show featuring her as a protagonist, living in a world called Beautyland. For production stories, it would have been a thinly veiled advertisement for future Troy brand products, which is not that surprising. What is surprising, however, is that even that would bring the company to its knees. Is the event that would bring the company to its knees, Helena Troy into obscurity, and Philip Barnum to a grisly end. By 1967, the company was rapidly making plans for new ventures and greater scopes. Philip Barnum was the leading name of the industry, and Helena Troy was a name recognized by every passerby. Troy brands, in a display of their success and wealth, would host a beauty expo on which they showed off developments in their products. Models wore Troy brands' finest clothing, and Helena balloons floated across the sky. It was an amazing event, and Troy brands revealed their greatest product yet. A skin cream that leaves a person's skin silky smooth, free of blemishes, acne, and other such things. It was predicted to be a massive success, and from the gleeful reaction of testers, the company's newest miracle product seemed to have a very bright future. Oh shit. Tragically, the skin cream was not tested thoroughly before being used on volunteers at the fair. All I can say is that multiple people were left harmed, and countless others were left dead. The pictures are not something I would feel comfortable sharing, and although there's an account we have gotten from our historian's interview with someone affected by this event, I am still unsure whether it would be right to post on the site, for you or for them. I'll have to see. The following month, the company would be pulled before a hearing and slapped with heavy fines, punishments, and more. Something the company would almost immediately topple under the weight of. Phil Barnum would be found dead in his personal quarters in the following months, police claiming the cause of death was from gunfire. At least they presumed so. A big mystery with Phil's death is that although his body was perforated with many holes that would indicate gunshot wounds, inspectors could not find any bullets nor damage to the surrounding room. To this day, it's a big mystery on how he met his demise. Perhaps it was an angry investor or vigilante justice from the family of those harmed by his final product. Regardless, it's a gruesome end to a morbid tale. Helena Troy, every girl's best friend, would topple with the company, forgotten by time and largely unnoticed until today as I write about her. Big question you longtime readers of this blog may be wondering is if Helena Troy has any connection to Miss Hecate, our local cartoon mystery. The answer is, to me and to you, frustratingly vague. In all my research, I have found no mention of Hecate. However, the two are so similar in appearance that there must be some sort of influence. After all, Barnum was documented as being a notorious thief of toppled companies' ideas and belongings. Or maybe that could just be my mind stringing together clues that where there are none. Just many red yarn threads that connect to each other without any actual meaning. There is a single written quote regarding the character's creation from Barnum himself. I was under a lot of pressure. I was desperate to make the company work, or I'd be strung up by debt folders and other folks. However, under all that pressure, an idea wormed its way into my brain. It was a little cartoon doll with a red dress and white buttons and 2 horns. I drew it out immediately and was instantly transfixed by the character. This, I thought, this is what will save my company. Unquote. Knowing Barnum's history of lying and sabotage, I'm not sure how much of this account we can believe. I can't help but notice his use of the word worming. Knowing Hecate's 1930s appearance was documented as being worm-like, I wonder if he was hinting at the inspiration behind Helena. When I got contacted about Helena Troy, I immediately sprung on this opportunity to write about her. She's so fascinating to me and a little sad. Forgotten for years, I hope she'll enjoy her place on the website. I think if she was alive, she'd enjoy being read and admired about, just like she used to, all the way back in the 60s when she was every girl's friend. I think we'll read one more, or a few more maybe, and then I'm going to call it a night, because I'm getting tired, and I also need to do my laundry. Let's see, what was the one that we were looking for? We did Hecate. We didn't do Missicate, though. This is the last one. Woman in Her Thoughts painting. Nathan Barry was a prolific American artist who created works noted for their unique usage of brushstrokes and heavy layering. His works varied between acrylic, watercolor, oil, and occasional crayons. However, they all had a usage of bold line art. The subject of this artwork is similar in appearance to our local cartoon mystery, Miss Kate. Of course, to clarify, this could be a misattribution. However, as a creative archive, we are happy to host artwork regardless. Nathan Barry described his pieces as sensations of a dream. In particular, this piece was inspired by a dream he had, in which he sat in a small two-person room with a woman who sang to him in such a way he awoke in a frightened state. This archive item is dedicated to Ik-Ak. We miss you so much. Interesting. I think I'm going to call it there for now, though. I do want to return to this. Thanks for exploring the site. Hope you enjoyed it. And the little friendly host. I absolutely love this. I will definitely be returning to this potentially in like a little while. Hold on. Let me go back to just chatting, though. Just... I'm back. Thank you so much for making this site. It's really fascinating. I absolutely love this. I love, I've been a fan of animation for years. That's actually why I'm in, that's why I'm a screenwriting major right now, so I can write for animated features. Cause I tried going to art school and it's harder than expected. Or maybe it's about as expected. Like hard, you know what I mean. But yeah, this was so cool. I think my favorite is Dorothy Doo, though. If you couldn't tell by the fact that I went through all of Dorothy Doo's stuff. Dorothy Doo is just such a fascinating thing to me. Or a fascinating character. And it's not because he's a puppet. It's not because he's a puppet. There's a running joke in my chat that I love puppets. Because it's true. Puppets are super cool. And they should be more appreciated. But yeah, these are all very interesting, and I love the work on the puppets, and I love the art. Oh, the art is so beautiful and amazing. So great job on this site to those who worked on it. Big shout outs to them. But I am tired, so let's find somebody also partial to the puppets as the puppet maker of the site. You're the puppet? Oh, that's so cool. That is so cool. It is an honor to be in your presence. I want to learn how to make puppets so bad. I don't have a sewing machine though. I don't know if you need that, but I feel like it could help. But maybe one day I'll start making puppets like I want to. That would be really, really cool. Have a nice night. Thanks for streaming. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It was awesome meeting y'all. And I want to find someone to raid real quick before we go out. Where's my Twitch? Here it is. Let's see who is streaming at this hour of night. I don't know why it's being weird. Okay. I think we'll save rating for next time. So in the meantime, please remember everybody that you are loved and cared for. And if nobody's in your corner for you, I'm in your animation archives. I'm in your archives. I'm in your library. I'm in one of your books, and I am definitely rooting for you. But in the meantime, I will see you all tomorrow with cooking sim, I believe. And then we'll come back to this another time. I will try to figure out more stuff in the website before I explore it, so that we could get a little more into the ARG aspect of it. But in the meantime, good night, everybody. Have a great night. Bye bye. Yes. Bye.